Okay. It looks like we are live. So, thank you, everybody. Greetings, peace, and blessings. Hope everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons, and that pinned message at the top, the StreamYard link. Would love to have some people on board with me as we do this review. Tonight, we're doing a review on a video cam or body cam from an incident with an arrest of the son of a clerk, a court clerk, and we're going to take a look at it. I haven't seen it yet myself, so it's a first time review for everybody. And we're going to go through it and take a look at it in regards to various different situations in where these public servants, even if they're acting out against each other, they still don't know what they're doing. And this is the concept of the right hand not knowing what the left hand is doing. And that's why we have to start stepping up and start educating these people on exactly how this system is supposed to work. So please feel free to hit that link and come up and share your views on it. Greetings, DD214. Let's see who all's up here. Travis Turner, Cleveland Steve, Truth and Empowerment, Bon Ivers, Laura. Yeah, we all need those mental breaks, don't we? Good evening, good evening. Greetings, Steve, greetings. Always good to have you on board, brother. How's it going?
Good to see you, man.
Good, good. So, what do you think of the panels here lately, real quick?
Actually, from what I've been seeing, it's been a complete 180. There's a lot of less screaming and drama yelling. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's what we find when we go to specific platforms and actually do our part in trying to bring the order to the chaos. So, and that's what we're doing here tonight is we're trying to help people comprehend the order of the chaos. Like I said, many times we have a left hand that doesn't know what the hell's going on with the right hand and vice versa. So in order to do our part in that, we have to educate ourselves so we can educate them. And that's why I say, when I found out through my research and my own education that I was gaining my freedom, what was really happening is I was taking on more and more responsibilities. And these are responsibilities that most people give up when they start sending their kids to school. We think it's not our duty to teach. And again, the story of giving a man a fish, you feed him for a day. We've got to quit being that guy that's dependent on everybody else to feed us. We have to start learning so we can start passing that on. So let's get in. Go ahead.
I was going to say, with all the available information from not only just searching on your own, but now these panels are becoming more popular. A lot of smart people are becoming available. Some are forthcoming with info, and some aren't so much. But the learning is there. You know what I mean? You just can't be lazy, can't procrastinate.
Yeah, and that's what it is. All these laws that everybody thinks is so good for them, and they take upon the convenience. What they're doing is they're screwing themselves and everybody else they think it's convenient for. It truly is the destruction of the family. It truly is a spiritual warfare because you have to come down to the sense of, well, who really governs me? If I'm the head of this household and I'm governed by somebody else, then who really is the head of the household? And that's where the spirituality comes in, because the head of the house, as the scripture says it, this is his house, the entire planet. And so when I say I walk out that door, it isn't just the land around this apartment building that I'm free to use. It's the entire planet. And no one has a right to restrict that in any sense for any reason, except if I'm out there doing harm. That's it, period. And so when we have these people that are out there in these clown outfits pulling people over, the very first thing is that they're violating Terry versus Ohio. They're looking for identification in all cases. And that is not how you start an investigation. You start an investigation with a crime. Traffic violations are not crimes, guys, period. Never have been. Even the Department of State will tell you a traffic citation is an unarrestable offense, period. So let's get into this. It's 59 minutes and 41 seconds long. So we might be here for a bit, but it's going to be a good one.
Trip. Robert George Mary 4057. We're pulling into 135 County Road 37. Hello? Sir? Yeah. You got a driver's license? I'm Deputy Peters with the Smith County Sheriff's Office. Reason for the stop today, your tail lights were not working as you were driving on the road, okay? And then you immediately pull into a residence.
I literally have a claim that taillights are not a crime. I'm not involved in the traffic code. I have a notice here.
One of the things I want to point out, again, it's all about terms. Every one of these houses in this public society that has an address on it through the postal system is considered a residence. Now, that residence is that 19 USC 81O, wherein resident presence is deemed necessary. If that's never been deemed necessary, then their presumption and your presumption that it's a resident gets dismissed if you don't mention it. So when they're in a conversation or a communication, what they call consensual communication or non-consensual, and they use those terms, you have to be aware of them so you can rebut them.
Can I ask you a question, Keith?
Sure.
I'm in the middle of a situation. I thought they were going to drop it. I mean, I've communicated with the courts and the state's attorneys and the judge, and the judge even stepped forward. And I know you're supposed to go a different route to communicate with these things, but I got caught up in a situation hard to back out of. But now the state's going forward, and this young girl, I think she's out of her fucking mind, says, "Oh well, and here, let me give you the scenario first. Issues with foreclosure. Mom, I'm standing there trying to protect her house. Told the sheriff I was going to do so. Talked to him ahead of time. Said the bank's fucking corrupt. The bank's coming after her. I know the whole gig. Here's the deal. I showed him everything. I showed him how it works. And this is not coming from a layman. I mean, I've been a real estate professional in the Bay Area there near DD 214 for a quarter century. So not like I was talking out of my fucking wheelhouse. I'm telling the sheriff's office, this is what's happened. This is what I understand. And this is fraudulent. And if you mind, I know you want to go with this video. I can do this a little bit later and ask a question, or do you want me to go on? Can you hear me?
All right. Let's do it later because there's a link in the chat, both public and private comments.
So let's go. I'll carry it on later, but I do want you to know this scenario, and we'll talk about it then, because it does have to do with the address and the mailbox being separate from the house. They actually have a box, where everybody goes, like an apartment complex. So I'm thinking, how the hell do they have any jurisdiction, anyways? Even if it was presumed or assumed, when the mailbox that they're using doesn't touch the fucking house or the property by a half mile,
because it's the easement.
Okay.
That's what I keep telling everybody. It's always going to be about the easement.
Which would be an easement of pertinent or something. I think there's a term.
Well, it's a conservation easement. Con being with and serving. So they're serving with the conservation. In other words, and I'll have to find the code sometime, but they have a code that says they literally have to condemn the land in order to use it. They have to condemn it for its natural use in order to be able to use it for commercial purposes. So again, that's that conservation easement, so that if they're using it for commercial purposes, they're insured. And if there's any kind of disaster or anything, it's covered. Well, and that's covered because the insurance, but only, again, because it's not the United States that owns the real estate investment trust, but the Postal Service. And that address is proprietary information of that trust.
I literally have a lawsuit going on with Nassau PD
Okay.
and sign.
And that link is Tyler versus Hennepin County. And that's on the 26th. That was 5 days ago. So this is a precedent set by a state Supreme Court that homeowners, they can't just abandon the equity. The equity is not a consideration of abandonment. It's a matter of making things right. And abandonment is the removal of property that rightfully belongs to somebody. And so if somebody's standing there screaming, saying that property rightfully belongs to me, it can't be abandoned. And again, just like they condemn the land for its natural use to convert it for commercial use, HUD has a responsibility called relocation services. And that again operates under that conservation easement. If they're going to protect the littlest creature of God, then they have to stand in defense and protect the greatest creature, their brother. And that's the ultimate crime against our families, is the relocation is not being had. We're not supposed to be in these scab cities anyway, but when we're here, they have a certain responsibility according to what they've written in those codes, period.
Signed by the judge. This is his dad's house.
He's
county,
also not driving. Driving's a commercial.
and
truck. He's
I'm
traveling.
not driving. This is the county
Okay.
commissioner's house, county clerk. We just put in. Which
See how he's making sure that he's not driving? There are so many terms that they're missing that tie it all in. And that first one is always going to be resident because it's deemed a necessity. Well, it's not ever happened that way. Everybody's doing this shit voluntarily, volunteering that they're a resident, not knowing what that implies. Got to quit doing that. Got to learn the language.
which tail light is out?
It was both of them.
Which one?
Both of your tail lights.
Hmm.
None of them were working as you were driving on the roadway. Do you have a driver's license, sir?
Driving, though. You keep
I'm
using the
not
wrong
driving.
terminology.
I'm outside of your jurisdiction actually. Who do you work with?
The Smith County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, the sheriff's county.
Yes, sir. Do
So-
you have any form of an ID or driver's license?
I do, but I don't have to present it since I haven't.
You do at this point in time because you have
If it's
committed
traffic stops,
committed a traffic offense.
which I'm
You were
not
driving a
involved in the
vehicle.
traffic code.
I'm not here to argue with you.
Hold on
Do you
one
have a
second.
driver's license?
I've got a dictionary because he doesn't seem to know the
I'm not
definition.
involved. I'm not involved in the traffic.
And there we go again. Excuse me. We have to get a dictionary out. See, this guy's going to his truck to get his dictionary while this other guy's got his phone out. He's
Yeah,
going-
they're not going to want to. They're not going to want to see any of that nonsense. They just want that ID, man.
right.
Give me the ID.
Yep, that's their total objective, because without that and without the signature, they can't do anything. And even without that, they will arrest you and try to force that signature. And if you don't know why the importance of that signature, they're going to keep pushing. So it's very important to know not only why the signature, but the definitions of the words and everything. And this is what I use against them in every case now. And I never do it in public unless I'm absolutely forced by them. Otherwise, it's always private communications. Period.
So now, but if he does have a driver's license, right? He just said I'm not in your jurisdiction. Wouldn't he be if he actually has a driver's license?
No. Nope. Remember, if you've got an employee for McDonald's, you can't go to Walmart and say, I'm on the job. I'm here to serve you burgers. Same thing with them approaching you. If you're not at work at McDonald's, they can't charge you for violating McDonald's policy, right? They're out here imposing their policy on everybody, even though we don't work for them. That's pure and simple what it is. That policy only applies while somebody is working, and they have to be working for them. That's why it says the state of Iowa on the top of that ID or the driver's license. Whatever state you're in is going to have their name first. They're the grantor or the trustee. The grantee is the United States. That second name on that instrument is going to be your name, and it's going to be the name of the beneficiary. Even says in their code, the second name on the instrument is the beneficiary.
Traffic code. Yeah.
So the definition of driving versus the definition of traveling, there's a dictionary.
Okay, let's use this term. You were operating a vehicle
No,
on a
that's-
public
that's-
roadway.
A vehicle
On
is
a public
commercial
roadway.
term,
I'm
it's
not,
an
sir.
automobile.
He's
It's an
right now.
automobile.
He is being stopped. Okay, you have no involvement.
Okay. Well, actually, I'm actually just being a concerned citizen because I know that
That's
cops
fine.
kill people.
Okay.
So I'm actually just watching.
If you want to be a
So you don't
concerned,
pull-
if citizen, add your car,
I'm
please.
showing you the law.
Okay.
'Cause This is actually case law. This is case
Okay,
law showing
that's-
you the difference
and that's
between
fine.
automobile and a
That's not that right now. That's
vehicle,
not
but
what
you
we're
don't need-
covering.
You actually don't need to know.
You have a driver's license. I can get
Hey,
you
what
out of here.
emergency?
Case law and traffic, and that's not what they're covering. They just pulled him over for a traffic citation. See, they don't even know what they're talking about, because the only thing, again, like Steve said, is they're looking for that driver's license. They want that driver's license, and you have to give it to them voluntarily. Now, when they turn around and they start using their tactics where they start arresting you for a traffic citation, that's kidnapping. And in doing so, while trying to seek a commercial item, a security instrument of the United States via the state driver's license or ID, that's RICO. All of the way.
Do you have? Because if there's not actually a crime or a victim, then you
You're
actually
actually
can't even use
trespassing,
your
too.
right into life.
Yeah, actually, there's no crime. Yeah, there's no crime against these guys. But what the police are doing is trespassing. Not just physically, but they're trespassing on intellectual property rights, which is that ID. They have no right to have that. And by getting it, they're creating a security instrument of the United States, but they're doing it at a municipal level using municipal bonds and not noticing or notifying the United States that they've created a security instrument. Why? Because they're saying you did. And that's your responsibility to notify the United States that you're creating a security instrument. And that's all backwards. They're the ones forcing it and then asking you to sign it. They gave you the ticket. That's the security instrument. And they forced you to sign it under threats, duress, and coercion. You didn't create that. All backwards and upside down, folks.
Shouldn't that be entrapment? I mean, isn't there a way to look at that as entrapment? What the fuck?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Under threats, duress, and coercion, they're violating the Fifth Amendment, and that is definitely entrapment.
You're actually trespassing on private property. too.
Okay.
We need to see a
You were
supervisor.
And that's part of the problem. He doesn't understand that they already called it a residence and he let it go. So the presumption is already set that it's a residence, and now he's saying it's private property. So they already know that he doesn't know. Or at least I do anyway. Anybody else that would know that they're claiming everything is a residence when people are out there claiming that it's a private property and don't know the difference. That's part of the problem. It's the main part of the problem. Communication levels.
Operating
Not
on a
operating.
public
Stop using
roadway.
that terminology. You're lying.
incorrect. You're
Stop
actually
it.
lying on
You have a
Stop
driver's
lying.
license.
Get
that
your
I can
supervisor
see.
here for
Yeah,
lying
get
right
your
now.
supervisor
You're
here.
actually
Not
lying.
at this point in time. If you can provide me with your driver's license.
And they're absolutely right. Again, he said that they're operating. He said that they're driving. He said that they pulled into the residence. And you're supposed to rebut all of these right up front. This is why I talk about when people come to me and they don't have that spiritual front and they're not telling me the truth or speaking the truth, I'm not going to comply with them either. Okay?
I'm not. I
You
will.
have a driver's license.
Yeah, not driving.
I don't answer
Not driving.
questions.
Don't answer questions. Get your supervisor here for lying on the record.
Yeah, can I
What's
go
your name and
101?
badge number? You're literally lying right now. On the
Okay,
record.
right now you are being placed. You are detained.
And this is exactly what I say about the license when they ask me for a license and I don't have, tell them I don't have a license or ID. I've got this bicycle driver's license if you want to see it. And they get their chuckle, and then they ask me, well, what's your name? I'm sorry, I don't have a name. Well, everybody's got a name. No, persons have names. Real men, we have callings. I've been called Keith all my life. And if mom and dad got mad at me, they might call me Keith Orland. I hail from the family Little, and I hear I was born around August 20th, 1966. Now, if he puts any information on that citation saying first, middle, and last name, that's a lie. I told him I don't have a name. If he puts down a birth date, that would be a lie, because I never told him I had a birth date. I told him I was born around August 20th. So if he puts that down as a birth date, that's him misinterpreting the information I gave him and putting it down on that license or that citation, that comment. It's an invention, fabrication, and fiction.
You are being detained. Right now, you're being detained. If I give you my license, stop.
Bro, crazy. You really, bro? Wow.
Right now, you're being detained.
Illegally detained.
bro.
Illegally detained.
Give me your other hand.
Dude, you're gonna be losing your job. You're getting
Dude, what have
sued.
I
You're
done?
getting sued, dude.
What have I
You're
done?
losing your job.
Right
No
now-
crime has been
Can you
committed.
please help me? That's
Right
what
now, I am
I'm calling
detaining you,
Dad. What have
failing
I
to
done?
ID.
Here, can you look it up?
He's literally not committed.
I can, but you're refusing to
He's
offer it to
saying
me.
he's arresting me for failure to
Right
ID.
now, you're not
He's-
being arrested.
He's saying he's taking me as
kidnapping him.
Karen.
Right
What is
now,
your
you're
name?
not being arrested.
Please show me.
Sir, step
What
back.
is your name?
Step
Shut
back.
the fuck up. What's
You're
your
about
name?
to get detained too.
Yeah,
Step
shut
back.
up. No,
He's
you're not
saying
even
he's taking
your
me
life.
in for
You're
failure
not
to
in fear for your
ID.
life. You're kidnapping
He's a-
somebody.
please.
Right now, like I said, you are not
He's
under
kidnapping
arrest.
somebody. He's not
You
even
are being
for his life.
detained,
He put him
okay?
in handcuffs.
That's the same.
Illegally
It's the
detained.
same thing. I don't consent to
I'm
any
10-4.
searches.
I
So
got
his
you.
tail light was out. His
People-
tail light was out. So
causing
now
problems.
look at
Allegedly.
that, dude.
Allegedly.
His tail light's out.
Please, I do not
Look at
wanna
that,
go
Mom.
I'm sorry. Can I ask
Not
what's
at this
going
time.
on?
Right now, he's being
He's
detained
okay.
because he
He's
failed to
putting
ID.
his
What I'm
hands on
trying
me.
to do is
Right, his
He's
hands
putting
on
is
me
you.
get his
cuffs.
ID because he was
Why
driving
am
a
I cuffs
vehicle.
on?
No, he's not
on a
driving.
public
Now you're
roadway.
lying again.
Sir,
What the fuck
Why
is
this
would
is
I
not about
cuffs?
you,
That's
okay? This is
stupid.
with him.
You keep saying the wrong
Where's your
terminology.
driver's license?
That's how
Under
stupid
duress.
you are.
Okay.
You under duress. Can I get it for you?
Where is it at?
Under duress.
Where's your driver's
You're
license
shaking and
at?
it's making me
Where's
nervous.
your driver's license at?
I'm
You're shaking,
shaking.
making me nervous.
I'm
Under,
shaking too, 'cause I saw
under,
him turn around.
under duress. It's in my pocket.
In
But
your pocket.
But I'm not giving you jurisdiction because I'm not operating under the commercial
Okay,
code.
that's
Well, he knows his stuff. Too bad he ran.
And that's exactly correct. What he's doing is not giving jurisdiction for the commercial code. What they're doing,
He should.
go ahead.
I was going to say he should just give his license up. I mean, you're in cuffs already, so you just comply.
Yeah.
Go to jail, get out, then file your countersuit. You know.
Yeah, and it's a matter of like I said, stating it when they want that thing. I'm not giving you jurisdiction. It's under threat, stress, and coercion, and that's exactly right. Under their code, it says that in order for the court to obtain personal jurisdiction, they must first properly serve the defendant in the state in which the court sits. And that means there's two parts to it. They have to do both. And the defendant needs to voluntarily appear in court. Now, that destroys their personal jurisdiction if you take them in there and put them in jail without going to court first on a voluntary basis. And that's the problem. See, when they pull you over alongside the road, they're initiating an investigation into a crime, and it's not a crime. So technically what they're supposed to do is write down the license plate, put it on the citation, find out the license plate's identifying owner, send them a notice that somebody was caught violating the traffic code under that license plate. And that's a diplomatic channels of notice through the post office, the postal service. Now, if they don't do it that way, then they violate that diplomatic immunity or any immunity, because what they're doing is they're dealing with a foreign diplomat that doesn't know he's a foreign diplomat. And that's not because we're foreign, but because the United States is foreign to us. So there is foreign diplomacy that needs to go on. And that's the modern term of legal tender is negotiable instruments. So while you're in these wars, these battles alongside the road, you're supposed to be competent to be able to negotiate so that you don't get the citation, just like Paul. But that's not always going to happen because you have officers out there, so many of them, that won't ever get it. That won't ever get it. So we have to start doing these lawsuits. And that's why Paul wants to learn how to do these lawsuits. Get these guys where it counts, their wallet. They're coming after us for that ID because it's a commercial entity. And they know this. And like I said, I don't give a fuck who the fuck you think you are. If you're trying to take money out of my pocket for your facetious bullshit or your fictitious bullshit, I guarantee you're taking money out of my mouth, my woman's mouth, and my children's mouth. I ain't going to stand for it. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So again, welcome everybody. Dick, Freedom Grower, everybody that's joined the chat there. I appreciate it. Salty Siren, Cult Member Infinity, JK, Cult Member 9, NJ Jeep Girl. Greetings, everybody. There's the StreamYard link if you want to come up. There's a PayPal link in there if anybody wants to share some love. And Unslavia Jester, what term other than resident keeps you out of commercial jurisdiction? I always used the term dwell in his house. I dwell in his house from time to time. And when you think about that's an electrical term where you've got a stop time in current where things turn around. And it's the same thing with the pendulum. There's a certain point where it gets to the top point and it dwells. It kind of stops and then it's got to go back. And then it stops. It's a short dwell. It's a short resting period. And that's all it is.
We're beyond that right now, okay?
Under arrest, I'm in handcuffs. Can you please get it?
Yes, where is it at?
And you're shaking. It's making me nervous.
Where's your driver's license?
It's in
Can
my
I
pocket.
ask why he's in handcuffs?
Because right now, when I stepped out of the vehicle, he refused to ID. Okay, what I'm trying to do is identify him. Once I get his identification, so I pulled him over, ma'am.
Wait, I want to ask this.
Okay.
Do you have a way to check his ID through a license tag?
No, I don't.
Okay,
no, ma'am.
You don't have a
so
computer in your car?
you don't have
I do have a computer in my car,
You
but
have
it
a
does not
radio
link
suggestion
with
you say your
the
license plate number?
license plate.
Huh.
Okay. We're gonna step back over here so I can get your ID.
Dude, let him drag you. You're non-compliant.
Like I've said, look, they're causing issues beyond the point of.
And you remember Amon Bundy? Do you hear the guy just saying, let him drag you over there? And that's exactly what Amon Bundy does. That's exactly what I would do from now on. I'm not going to participate and allow them to let me walk. I'll sit my ass down. And they will have to physically pick me up and carry me.
What needs
I'm
to
not
happen,
running.
okay?
I'm not.
You're not. I said you are detained right now. Can I see your
For
ID?
what crime?
Can I see your ID?
If I'm detained, then I'm under.
You said it's in your pocket?
Because he's in fear for his life. What a joke, Peter.
And again, let me see your ID. It's not your ID. It's a state ID of a person, and they allow you to use it under contract. And what they're doing here is they're violating that contract because they didn't get permission from the state just because they work for the local municipal station or the county station. Again, it's diplomatic channels of service. If they haven't gotten a hold of the state to see if I was on the clock at that time through the records and have mileage logs and everything, then they have no evidence of whether I was driving or not to begin with. I don't have to tell them that. The record will state that. But again, you have to have the education and knowledge to know how to put that forth and prove that. You have to know why they require those things. See, if you've actually got a commercial driver's license, ask any trucker. They have to keep specific logs and they have to give them a copy. How come you don't, as a regular driver, have any copies of any records denoting how many miles are on that and how many miles you worked? Where is the point of destination? Where is the manufacturer or place of services or goods that was extended from point A to point B, showing that you were transporting and not traveling? If they have none of that, then it still remains a presumption.
Dude, you're fired. You are
All right, man.
fired, bro.
What?
Losing your job.
Sir.
What a joke.
Sir,
Don't
you can step back by your car.
Don't even talk to me. Don't say
Just
sorry to
lean
me.
up against
You're
this
not
car.
in fear
Can
for
you
your
give him the
life.
keys?
You're on my property.
I'm not taking the keys.
Don't
I'll
talk
put them
to
back
me.
in your pocket, okay?
Are you really gonna arrest me?
Disgusting.
Are you serious?
I've said this multiple times. You're not under arrest. I detained you because
It's
you
the
failed
same.
to.
Detained. Detained.
It's the same as being arrested. It's the
Yeah,
same as
it's-
arrest.
Yeah, detain, when it says cane, means to hold, and he's detaining him. So he's technically saying he's not holding him, when in fact he is. This is the problem with their babble language. And when they do that, it is an estoppel. And that means they did stop them, and it is an arrest. Like I said, dwell is a short resting period. It's the same damn thing.
So
You
ID,
don't get
okay?
you don't get the dictionary.
Where's your license? Because I'm not trying to go all through your wallet.
I don't consent to a search.
I'm
If
not
you-
searching.
if you
Where's
wanna
your
handcuff
ID?
me, ask
Where's your license? I don't have a sense to lie. I don't do that. Not anymore. A big problem with the way things are said and the way you hear them. Pronunciation, like I've said, that BEHAVE, they've taught everybody it's behave. When if you take a real good look at it, you see the two words and separate them, you see it's not behave, it's behave. Or excuse me, it's not behave, it's behave. And they've taught everybody to say it's behave. All backwards.
as a man, and I'll give it to you.
Once we're complete with the traffic stop.
It's not a traffic stop, man.
It is a traffic
you're really
stop.
gonna get in trouble. Can you talk to your supervisor? It's a traffic stop if I'm a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
I'm not a U.S. citizen.
Do you
I'm
have
a
some form of an ID?
I have
do.
no weapons.
You
by the
said it
way.
was in your wallet, correct?
No weapons on me. I'm just making sure you don't kill anybody tonight.
You're scaring me.
You've
dude.
already-
I wish
you're
you would
already
talk to me
illegally
like a man
detaining
and I
somebody
could
for
explain
no
things.
What have I done that was disrespectful to you?
No
You
crime
grabbed me. You're
committed.
shaking my hands. My hands are in handcuffs. I haven't committed. a
What
crime.
crime do you suspect is being committed right now?
Yeah.
Do you know the definition of a crime?
Is it in your wallet? Your ID?
Yeah, he doesn't even know the definition of a crime, does he? Because he
You
thinks
need
it's
to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, they do. He needs.
Hmm.
That's what I should have done when I got pulled over and they tried this stuff, and I tried to reiterate it. I wasn't good enough at it. Today, much different story. And when it comes down to it, this is why we have to educate these other people. We have to get involved, like Steve with doing the audits. If you're going to do the audits, make damn sure you know the definitions and stuff, so that when somebody steps up on that public roadway and they're trying to use that house with an address on it as a residence, that resident determination will not show on the postal court. It'll be an out of balance account. Wait a minute, we don't have any service workers there. That's not a postal premise. That's not a financial institution. See what? And it's all because people just don't know this stuff and how it's being treated. That residence saying that car isn't, that they're saying the house is a resident, the car is an automobile or a vehicle, and that the man is a driver, and that he was driving on public roadways. Really?
You're searching his wallet?
You know that is unlawful.
Yep,
search.
unlawful
I don't
Would
search
know
and
you
what
like me
seizure.
to get it out of your wallet for you? I can't believe you wouldn't give him permission to search your stuff, would you?
No.
Do you want me to get it out for you?
Under duress, if he's saying
No. Let him commit every crime that he is and just keep it recorded so you can fucking go against him. Every crime. $250,000
that he's not
per person, per incident. So if it goes to court and the clerk signs that, got $250,000. Prosecutor, $250,000. Judge, $250,000. Anybody who wants to come in as a witness, $250,000. Fuck them all.
let me go on this, and you can present it to me.
Oh, okay. Oh. Yeah,
Can you tell me where your ID is?
You go to the initial appearance and they have you come back for another appearance, $250,000 for every person involved in that incident too. $250,000 for everybody involved in the arrest and stop. That includes the dispatcher, false communications.
A minute ago, you said I could take it out of your pocket.
I don't answer
Under
questions.
duress because you're handcuffing me.
Okay. Yes, because
I told-
you
I
you
told-
are detained at
my
this
ID
point in
is in my
time.
wallet.
Okay.
My ID is in my
Where is it
wallet.
at in your wallet? I'm not trying to go through every single card you have.
Of course not. He doesn't want to search.
This is it. I'm
He
assuming.
wants him to volunteer it.
Okay. This is driver of this car causing the issues.
Driver of this car causing issues.
Hey, no, you don't tell me what to do. You interject.
Okay. The officer is the one that's going to issue the citation. And it's a commercial citation, and he doesn't have the authority to do so. Only the clerk can issue commercial items, commercial goods, commercial services. That's why you have to go to a clerk when you check out at the store. That's why you have to go to a clerk to cash that check. This officer is not a clerk. He's issuing false securities.
Hey, no, get off my property. Get over here. No.
Are you the excuse me, sir? Are you the supervisor?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Get away from me. You're interjecting yourself into this traffic stop. Get off my property, you piece of shit. Get over here. No, you get over here then.
Get over here is exactly right. Again, they know there's a difference between the private property and what's going on, but they don't know what it is. Because I'm not going to call a supervisor. I'm going to call the National Guard and Postal Service. I'm going to let them know. That's an inland marine installation, and they have proprietary rights over that conservation easement because it's their number attached to the municipal street name known as a street name security, and they're claiming I'm the agent and I'm not. It's the county commissioner.
He wants to say get over here like I'm a dog. I will get over here. Yeah, exactly.
What is going on?
Yeah, exactly. Get away from me. Get away from me. No, you don't go in that house.
Now he's violating a private dwelling on private property.
Fucking stupid.
But the problem again is that it's not disclosed that it's private property and that it's a private dwelling, because on the public record it says it's a residence, and nobody's throwing that off. Nobody's going down there getting that warranty deed and finding out if there's a transfer stamp on it or not, because they don't know this stuff. Even the clerks, when you go down there and start talking to them about transfer stamps, the registrars and stuff, they don't know what the fuck you're talking about. They learned their shit in college, and they didn't tell them about the tax, the capital transfer stamp tax. That's why you never find them on there. But if
They
you go,
keep everybody ignorant. It's just by design.
yeah, so if you go to the public law and look at it, you see it, and it's not that they keep them ignorant. It's that, again, people walk out of high school and never pick up another book. They have no interest in learning beyond what was taught by everybody else. They have no interest in observing the reality of the world for what it is and going from there.
But the clerk of the court's not fucking knowing this?
No.
Come on, that's the comptroller in most cases. What the fuck?
Yep. And that's because of the 2006 Electronic Records Act. Everything's being programmed, so people that don't need to know the programming will just do what they're told. It makes it easier. Displacement of responsibility and liability.
Limited liability. Period.
Well, and again, listen to UCC 3-402. I've been telling you, the liability doesn't lie in the signature. It lies in the record. It tells us that. If we're signing on an instrument, we're not liable for the person named in the instrument. It's always in the record.
Well, this goes back to that Charlie Chaplin video you showed. That you're not free. They should not be able to enter the property like that, no matter what.
That's how they did me.
Right?
Yeah, it's a communistic country when you're demanding identification, when you're demanding travel documents. And again, this goes to the passport. Do you think a passport is to allow you to go to another country? No, if you don't have a passport, they won't let you out.
Get away from me! Get away from me! Stop! Stop! Help! 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 Give me your hands! Give me your hands now!
And I'll remind you, this is a passenger, as they call them. Okay? Again, a passenger is a commercial term. He is a sojourner with him. Leviticus 25, verse 23, the land shall not be sold forever, for it is mine, and ye are strangers and sojourners with me. That's not just individually, but as you're traveling in transient existence from point A to point B.
Help! Help! It's my glasses!
Like I said,
Help!
give us a
Help!
chance.
Help! I have it! Oh my God! Help!
Get back! Get back! Get back!
Help! 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 Mama, help! Take my phone! Take my phone, Mama.
We got 1 minute.
Asking you for some stupid.
Sorry,
I've done nothing. He's hurting my wrist. He's
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Testing 3, 4.
Okay, check. Holy
He's
mackerel.
got that big ass dude just laying on top of him. Like, that's like you laying on top of a fucking little kid, man. He's squishing the shit out of him.
And they're literally attacking this kid because he's obviously mouthing off to him, but he's mouthing off to him about what they're doing, and he's saying the right things. He's saying, you guys aren't even applying the right definitions. You don't know what you mean. You don't know what you're saying. So here's Keith.
Yeah, my apologies. I didn't realize I was muted. But what we're talking about is the easement. In that easement, it's not a matter of changing the metes and bounds. It's a matter of establishing those metes and bounds and who's actually supposed to protect who. So if it's a conservation easement, which protects the wildlife and fisheries, and you're an animal, then they're technically supposed to be protecting you. But because they're looking for that ID as a man under a commercial premise, they're not treating you like an animal while treating you like a fucking animal. Is that fucking insane or what?
Whole system's insane.
But you have a curtilage, right? There's a curtilage to the front of the house. Does that extend to the driveway?
Well, yeah, that's the curtilage is in reference to your right of passage and your right of portage, and that's that's in international law, and that's that sojourner part. You have a right to go to point A to point B, whether it's across the land or across the water.
That should be by the modality of the day.
Right. And so despite any conservation easement, no matter who thinks they own the rights to that easement, as a natural being, you're not going to go out and say to a raccoon that you can't come across that sidewalk and enter my land. You know, natural rights exist for all creatures. And if I need to take a shortcut, this is the thing about the old man chewing out the kids they're shortcutting across his yard to get to school or something. And they get all mad. Why? It's just another natural action by a natural creature. And just because you think you own something, the scripture that you are supposedly supporting says you don't. The land is not to be sold forever, for it is mine. So what are you doing telling another creature he can't use the land that doesn't belong to you, that you're supposed to be a sojourner with? See, we're supposed to minister the gospel to all creatures, yet we sit here in our modern times and put up all these fences, denying the very thing that we're supposed to gospel to.
You should use the 5-man electric band for an intro. The sign, everywhere sign. You put up a fence.
Yeah, I'm just a one-man operation here. I'm not going to do it as a production gig to get numbers. It's all education. The intros.
Yeah, but you remember those lines from that song. You
yeah.
put a fence to keep me out, but you're keeping Mother Nature. And if God was here, he'd tell you to your face, man, you're some kind of sinner.
Yep, exactly.
You know?
They tell us all this stuff in movies and in songs, guys. They truly do.
Me, I can't even breathe.
Get back.
Let him go.
Where's my glasses?
I got it.
Give me my glasses. I can't stop breaking my arm.
I'm not breaking your arm. Hey, yo, get back. Get back.
You give me my glasses. I cannot see.
Yo,
You gotta stop.
His glasses are right there.
those are his glasses. Okay.
Glasses.
You step out with me.
Hey, you know what you're doing.
What the hell is going on?
Please let us go.
Hey, don't hurt him. He has not committed.
Ma'am, step
Let
back.
him go. You're hurting his shoulder. You're hurting his shoulder. You put him in the Kimura. Crap. What is
I have your glasses. I have your glasses.
Get in that glass. What's wrong? I've done nothing. Please record this. They're kidnapping me. I've done nothing.
I don't know what's going on.
Can we all talk like adults,
Here,
please?
you coming with me?
Please talk.
Hey, Rob, I'm putting him in my car. Come on.
Why don't
Come
I
with
have to go in the car?
When we talk about those meets and bounds and correcting the record, it's a removal of title. Again, he doesn't require title to the land. The land shall not be sold forever. It's what they're doing is they're selling that title. So what you're doing in redemption of that land, again, verse 24, in all of the lands of your possession, you shall grant a redemption. Why? Because he redeemed you, and now you are a redeemer. And this is our job. We're supposed to go around redeeming the lands and the people, making things right.
Because right now you are
You have
causing
my
more
ID?
of an issue. Yes.
What did I do, man? You have my ID, dude. Can you run my ID at least, or what? What are you doing, dude? Why don't I have to go in the car if I just stay in here, man? Are you serious, man?
All right, step in the car.
Why are you doing this? What was your name? And badge number?
Step in the car.
Why are you doing this to me, man?
Step in the car.
Okay. Can I at
Move
least-
your foot.
He's pushing on me. I have a bad back. He's hurting me.
keeping
you from turning towards me. I told you, you stupid. How
Who
stupid
is
are
this?
you?
Who is this?
Help! I'm getting kidnapped.
Sorry, just stay right there. Stay right there.
Absolutely correct. Help. I'm getting kidnapped. Absolutely. Stealing one of the children of Israel and making merchandise of them. That's a death sentence according to the scriptures. And the United States agrees that it's a life up to life sentence and possibly death.
They ran in our house.
I've done nothing wrong. No crime at all. Nothing wrong.
Let's get him in the car.
No crime at all. And these people are literally standing there kidnapping at least two people at this time. And we, like I said, I haven't watched this, so I don't know if they're going to turn around and arrest these other two people. And this is mom and this is dad. I don't know. This guy looks like this guy just got back home from somewhere, and they're telling him to stay off his fucking property. The fuck you.
No!
Yes.
I'm not going
Stand
with
up.
you. I've done nothing.
Stand up.
What are you doing?
Stand up.
I've done nothing. I've done nothing. I've done you hurting me. My arms are getting
Where's
broken.
10-4? Still got one resistance.
Get me your supervisor now. I want a supervisor. Give me a supervisor. I need a supervisor. I'm being kidnapped. I've done nothing. I've done nothing.
See how they've got his arms up so far that he's bent over? I mean, he's not standing upright. They are putting pressure on his arms. That is a very torturous way to do it, especially with cuffs on.
Oh yeah, it hurts like shit.
Yeah, so it's not just
It's
kidnapping.
horrible.
It's not just kidnapping, it's assault.
Well, Keith, do you notice that they have a long private driveway? They're way off the public road.
Oh, yeah, way off that easement, like I said. They're out of their jurisdiction just by going on the land. Again, it's just like contacting the state for diplomatic notice. They're supposed to, the owner of that address is the municipality that they work for and the Postal Service, and they have no agreement to violate their easement interest. See, that's a violation of the easement against the Postal Service. They are the inland marine installation, not the police. That's a standing army in violation of the Constitution. Guaranteed.
Come on.
You're such a piece of shit.
I dare anybody to challenge me. Anybody.
Put them up. Put them up.
I've done nothing wrong.
Get in the car.
Help! Help! My arm! Oh.
We're 10-4. Anybody else coming? Y'all can reduce. I got it. 6 you can open check.
Deputy Peters conducted a traffic stop on this vehicle. I don't.
No.
on that vehicle. I don't know if that's your son, who it is.
Ma'am,
Son came out and is interviewing with.
ma'am,
No.
would you like to accompany me so I can get my flashlight out of your house?
I don't know if that's your son.
Fuck no, you lost that.
I don't think this needed to go this far. Over what was the traffic stop for? Can you tell me what the traffic stop
Yes, ma'am.
was for?
So the other person who I was trying to conduct business with.
Conduct business with.
Ha
So they know exactly what they're doing, guys.
What a tell.
Yeah, don't play no fucking games with me anymore. So when I'm pointing this stuff out, and now you know it, you now have a duty, okay? And if you're shirking that duty, that's the kind of shit I hate the most. Not stepping up to the responsibility. You're full-grown men now.
Cody.
So
what are you
Cody,
looking for?
my flashlight.
Is that it? I don't know. I don't know which
Yes,
one.
ma'am. That's it. Which one of these are his phone?
This is Cody's and Derek.
And now he wants the phone. Did you guys know that's a security device? Why is it a security device? Because it's an upline to communications. Sorry, Jeff, didn't see you back there. But that phone is an international communication device. If I need to reach out to somebody through the radio waves and perform a Mayday, 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 SOS, they are set up for that. Now, if somebody violates that instrument and you are not allowed to make such a Mayday distress call, that's international violation of humanitarian rights of your uplink to communicate with your counsel. See, before anything happens, violation of that Fifth Amendment, Fourth Amendment, right to seek counsel. Let's pull that scripture out, brother, because you're going to think I'm going to seek a lawyer. And I'm telling you that lawyer's a blasphemous liar. Ye, you lawyers have hidden the key of knowledge. So if you want me to go get a lawyer who hides the key of knowledge, I'm going to show you the scripture that tells us that. And then I'm going to keep on rambling on until you get it. Until you get it. Not playing these games anymore. It's very plain writing. And if you want to sit there and profess to me that you're one of these Christians that follows that spiritual sense, you better play up to it. Because if you don't, and you want to stand there and tell me you're not a Christian, or you don't, that you're, even if you're an atheist, you want to sit there and tell me you're an atheist? That's going to play really good in that court. Will an atheist swear on a Bible? You fucking idiots.
Okay.
Okay.
You want me to give it to Cody? Okay.
Tell me how an atheist is subject to a court that demands that you swear on a Bible. Huh? Did God tell you to swear on that Bible? Or did he tell you to pick it up and use his words?
All right, let's step back outside.
Get back around.
You okay?
And again, you don't have to be a Christian to pick up a Bible. You don't have to be a Muslim to pick up the Quran. You don't have to be a mechanic to pick up a book to learn how to fix your own car. All kinds of things, people. And it's a mere matter of education and your willingness to follow his will, to learn how to do things for yourself so you can fill your cup and let it overflow into others. And again, that's the knowledge. Your cup will never fill if you don't have knowledge, ever. And it will never fill if you're not seeking knowledge. You might think it's filled because you got all these nice things. Wait till you check out. Wait till you pass on.
Please come here. I can't breathe. I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. Please. I cannot breathe. Go ahead. Please, don't put me down. Stop it, please. I'm not leaving the door I'm not doing it. I'm not going
You
anywhere.
already
Please.
did do it. Put your foot in the
Please.
car.
You already did do it. You already did do it. Okay. Is that judge and executioner? While at the same time he's serving and making the claim.
Judge, jury, executioner.
Yeah, he's doing everything. He's a victim. He's the witness. He's the claimant. He's the judge. He's the jury, and he's the executioner. Right there on the side of the road.
This is our society around us. This is what we're living with.
That's freedom, baby. Freedom.
Yep, free dumb. You're free to be dumb, and as long as you're dumb enough, they're going to cage you right up. Cage you right up like any animal.
Please.
Amazing how they look for a license and an animal can't be licensed, right?
They're breaking my wrist.
We'll check him in a second.
Just
when you
check
calm
him right
down.
now. I'm right
No.
here. I'm not doing anything wrong. Help! I can't breathe.
Are you okay, ma'am?
I cannot breathe.
Okay.
This is too much.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not being funny. Do you need a paramedic?
I don't know.
Okay.
No.
So
See, she's not all right because it's her kid that's being hauled off to jail now. What about all them documents she signed for all those other people's kids that got hauled off to jail? Did she feel bad for them? No. 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 See, this is why we have to educate them. Because if I was witness to somebody else stealing somebody else's kids, I would certainly step up. I wouldn't sit there and continue stamping and signing documents.
What's this guy doing?
So, Cody, I pulled him over. It was a traffic stop. Let's step over here so I can speak with you.
Yeah.
Cody, driving the vehicle over here.
Driving the vehicle. Driving the vehicle. That's a lie. He knows it. He's been told. And he had a duty. He had a duty to research and find out what these men were telling him. And he didn't. You hear me now? I don't give a fuck whether you're wearing a badge or not. You have knowledge, you have a duty. Driving is a commercial operation, folks. Don't ever let them accuse anybody of driving unless they were actually driving and you know it. Otherwise, just like Jesus, you're always supposed to question.
Listen, at this point, are they morally bankrupt? They know this is fucking bullshit. Most of them.
Absolutely.
This is-
Absolutely.
They're running around and just because they can, they're running game and they're gonna fucking and it leads to more and more corruption because I mean a cop that knows the fucking rules are being broken automatically thinks, well, what the fuck? I can just do whatever I want.
Well, you saw where it started, right? It started when the second cop showed up and the guy who put the other dude in cuffs said, oh, this is the one that's being uncooperative. Oh,
Yeah.
well, that means we got to take you down.
Yep. And he had nothing to do with it except
He had
he was
fuck
standing up.
all to do with it. Fuck all because he has a big mouth. That's what? Okay, so there we go. First Amendment's out the fucking window.
Right. And he was the one
Exactly.
stepping up, putting out the knowledge. And again, that's because he had a duty. He had the knowledge. He had a duty to express it in times where it's being abused. And these guys had a duty they had that knowledge to research to make sure that he was telling them the truth. And instead, they're standing there lying, dismissing his information at all, and presenting their case as the truth. And that's entirely fiction. Entirely. Sick.
Tyrannical.
The vehicle had no tail lights. Simple stop. I was going to get out with him, explain to him, hey, you're already at your residence. It's going to be a simple warning. I don't. Who is this?
This is my son.
Your son?
Right there.
Okay. What's his name?
Derek.
Derek stepped out, started interjecting into the traffic stop, yelling, preventing me from.
Interjecting into the traffic stop. This is language, folks. He was not into a traffic stop if the traffic stop wasn't valid. Again, just because he has some kind of license on record doesn't mean he was performing at that time in the commercial capacity.
Yeah, what was he trafficking?
Exactly.
Where was the trafficking occurring? He had to have been trafficking something. That is a fucking commercial term. There had to have been people. There had to have been a cargo. There had to have been merchandise. Something had to have been moving. A piece
Paperwork.
of mail.
There had to have been paperwork in the vehicle showing logs of times, mileage, products, services, people, destinations, and those addresses. Who do you think is responsible for all shipping terms?
Post office.
Continuing my stop with Cody. Okay, at that point in time, my partner showed up. We attempted to detain Derek due to interfering with public services. That's when he ran into the house. We had to follow him into the
In
house.
Iowa, it's called interference with official acts. And I don't know for other states. I have to look at it yet. But when it comes down to this interference shit, you have to already be under supervision for it to be called interference. In other words, there already has to be a probationary contract where you're under Department of Supervision. Supervision. They're going to see you everywhere you appear, everywhere you present that ID. They keep track. And again, that's a probate court because you didn't state your will. These people are just fucking demons.
The house.
The juvenile's going to be at the.
And at that point in time, he was placed in custody.
If this law figured out,
yes, sir.
He probably don't think he had any right to come in his house or whatever. So
Well, he was out here interfering with the traffic stop, and when we went to
No, he wasn't. You were on the outside of that easement. Again, you violated the easement and chased him and hunted him down on his own land.
try to detain him, he ran into the house, and at that point in time, we don't know if he's going to retrieve weapons. We don't know exactly what's going on. So
Because they're fucking pussies. They're fucking cowards. Been walking these streets all my life without a weapon.
you know, me being on this
I know.
stop, I don't know what's going on.
I know.
So Cody's in cuffs in the backseat of my car. He was just detained because he failed to ID. He's not going to be placed in the jail or anything.
Failed to ID. Show me a law that says I have to have an ID. So fail to ID is prior to having an ID, or that you had an ID that was already operative and you failed. Again, saying that you were performing commercially.
Hey, Keith, in
If you
Florida,
If you
Florida
can't
Penal
prove
Code-
that it was commercial first, you can't demand ID. Go ahead, brother.
excuse me for interrupting, talking over you there. Sorry about that. In Florida, I think it's Florida Penal Code 901-151, if I'm correct. Close to
Yes.
that. Is
90
that correct?
901.151. You got it.
That's you have to have RAS or an SAF, okay, which is reasonable, articulable suspicion that there's a crime, or there's going to be a crime, or or they have to have SAF, which is a single articulable fact. You got to know I did something, or what are you doing here? What are we doing here? And they don't. If they don't, they can't even ask your name. They can't ask for your license. They need to leave you the fuck alone.
It's called solicitation.
There you go. Actually, wouldn't that be a good sign to put on your car? No soliciting.
Yes. That'll
Oh,
get that
shit.
solicitor when he reaches that.
What's that?
That'll get to that solicitor when he reads that.
No shit.
That's that DA, the district attorney, or the attorney. That they're known as solicitors.
Yep. The Solicitor General.
Yeah, but he failed to ID. That's what started this whole fiasco.
No, he started this whole fiasco looking for commercial services and goods in his supervision when he's blind and he's trying to project those visions and their lies, every last one of them.
Ow, ow, ow.
It's not tight, man.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
You can do
I'm getting it. Give me just a second, okay? Ow. Okay. That one you're trying to rotate your arm.
I'm not even moving my arm. I'm just holding it still.
Okay, I'll loosen that one just a little bit, okay?
Yeah, you see that? You're rotating your arm. He come right back with my arm is still, and you can watch his arms were still. He wasn't trying to rotate. These motherfuckers will make up everything to try to make it look as best as they can. Yet they're going to fail as people learn and educate themselves and see this for what it is.
I need to.
68. Can you run the name, date of birth?
Okay, now what he's doing here is he's asking somebody to run a name and date of birth. Okay. This man never offered up his name and date of birth. He got it through threats, duress, and coercion. And now it's conspiracy because he's asking somebody else, dispatch, to look up the information. And whether dispatch knows it or not, again, it's all people that are involved in this. If you are not knowing and you take upon those types of jobs and you help allow the kidnapping, you should be fucking ashamed. Dumb fucks. So what he's doing is creating a United States security, and that's again through conspiracy with another person, whether they know it or not, and again whether he knows it or not, because that's negligent if he doesn't, and that is RICO. You gave them knowledge. They didn't take upon the investigation properly to find out if the knowledge you gave them was true. They're sticking with the knowledge they have and won't let anything else enter the record. They're going to make their witness statement again as if though they're the victim, when in fact they failed service. That's not through the Postal Service. You used a postal address as if though that qualified as service. No, doesn't.
$68.
Not interference. I can say what I want to. That is not interference. I'm on my own property. I'm on my own property, not interfering at all. Words is not interfering.
Away from his
I
investigation.
need to speak to your
What you're
supervisor because
doing.
word is not. Can I get my light glasses? Glasses.
You don't
I've got him. I got him. I'll
I
get him
don't
to
see
you.
anything back there right now.
Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
you could be arresting me for the same thing.
Okay.
Because I was
Ma'am, do you need EMS?
standing right here.
Do you need EMS?
You need EMS?
I don't think so. But I was.
Will y'all please run my.
21, can you go
on the do not detain list?
We're up.
Did you just say he was not on? He was on the do not detain list.
I didn't hear that.
Mom.
Standing right here.
I could hear he said, "Please run my license. I'm on the do not detain list." Something like that.
I was.
Will y'all please run my.
21, can you go
on the do not detain list?
He did. Exactly right. He did. Said, please run my license as I'm on the do not detain list. Now, I don't know how you tell if you're on the do not detain list unless you've got a redress number from Homeland Security.
Well, his mother's the clerk. There's something fucking going on. So we should. I mean, this is maybe the case to look into.
Yeah, I would think it would have to do something with his mom being the clerk.
Yeah, I think, well, and that's one of the reasons I put this one up there. And like I said, I haven't watched this yet. So I'm curious to find out what she knows.
I'm fucking glad I caught that little tidbit.
Yeah.
Last name Voss, Victor Ocean, Sam, first name Cody, November 14th, 1994. Did you get his ID, bro?
Is the supervisor on the way?
They're not.
Did you get his ID,
Not on the way?
bro?
What?
Did you get his ID?
We got a U.S. passport card.
Yeah, that's what I had. Copy second name, date of birth when you're ready.
Uh-oh.
Mom's got him set up right.
Yeah. U.S. passport card. and they're going to check the passport card. Now they're dealing with the Department of State on a municipal traffic citation.
They're in over their heads.
Doesn't that tell you that's international? They will check every ID. That phone number, that's international. Like I said, all these identifications are international. They start at the Bureau of Vital Statistics and they end up with the International Bureau, Director General of the International Bureau of the Postal Union. They are the keeper of all records. You hear the saying that all roads lead to Rome? By the way, the Postal Service, as we know
Last
it
name
today, was
Phillips,
started
first
in
name
Rome.
Derek, April 22nd, 1986, Thomasville.
Yeah, I'm gonna. That's the meeting. Tell me to go talk to him. So I go over there.
Did you say 87, 97?
From the end of the house. What? No, I don't think so. Right?
That second one's 1986. No, he's driving this pickup right here.
Yeah. No, not a part of the traffic stop.
Not at all.
Yes, sir. Oh,
That's what they're saying.
Not a part of the stop. The fuck he wasn't. This is why I tell everybody, are you trying to tamper with a witness? Hey, Father, which art in heaven, they're fucking with me. I ain't playing no games with none of you. No one.
I had Steps are. So I pulled over that Crown Vic. He's driving on 14 with no tail light. He pulled in here on 37, drove all the way.
And I want to take a moment to thank everybody for joining me. If I missed you, my apologies. I'm trying to keep up, but we've got a little bit of attendance tonight. So just know that I love you. Appreciate you showing up.
Into the residence. He was actually right behind that Chevrolet pickup. And they both got out, started sovereign citizen crap. Not ID, not doing anything. So I detained the original driver for failed ID. Just detained him right now. Second guy started flipping out. That's when when Rugg showed up. Went to go detain him for basically interfering with the traffic stop. He then ran straight into the house.
Yeah, I got no return for either of them.
What happens when the prostate enlarges and the urine channel gets tight? If you have an enlarged...
Simple.
Time to go to the
He
doctor.
ran into the house. We had to follow him into the bedroom.
See what?
Oh, I was commenting on the commercial. It says it's probably time to go to the doctor.
Oh, yeah.
About the prostate commercial.
Yeah. And notice they said there's no returns on these guys.
And, who are they? All they have are these passport cards or some crap.
Passport cards are some crap. Really? So the license is worth more than the passport card or some crap. Good job.
That's all they had.
You see the driver of the passenger.
Well, he was the one in the truck that interfered. They weren't in the same vehicle.
Why were they coming to this house?
They both said they live here, but I don't know. That female, she came out of the house, and I don't know if it's mom or what, but she kind of made it seem like they both live here.
What kind of resisting?
We got him in there. He was just kind of wrestling to go in the cuffs, but
What kind of resisting was happening? Resisting? No. This is kidnapping. You're supposed to resist kidnapping. You're supposed to fight against kidnapping.
I mean, it wasn't too bad.
So what kind of force shot you?
Nothing. I mean, he fell onto the ground. We just kind of yanked his arms.
We just kind of yanked his arms. Okay. There's your assault in the event course of kidnapping someone.
But he was twisting his arm, wasn't he? Couldn't he keep He kept twisting his arm.
Well, yeah, once he got him in cuffs.
No, I mean, you pointed out that his arm wasn't even moving.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was trying to say the other guy, the guy that was in cuffs, was twisting his arms, trying to make it seem like the cuffs were tight. And you could see that he wasn't even moving his arms. It's just sick. They will, like I said, they will pervert their story as much as they can for their benefit in all cases.
That's that thin blue line, man. That thin blue
Part
line.
of that oath.
Yep, and it will never be any less than 100%. When you have others in the community supporting that blue line that carry it well over 100%, they will back them. They're not even part of that organization. They will back them. All you people that claim you're a resident, that's supporting what's going on. Just that one term in its use supports what's going on throughout all jurisdictions. Resident goes to the resident address. What?
So when I had a story, like when I got a driver's license when I first moved from Texas to California years and years ago. I didn't have a residence when I first got here, but I went to the DMV just to get it because I had to get a license to be driving. So, but I didn't have my permanent address yet because I was just on the move. And I went to the DMV and I was like, well, what address should I put on here? And they were just like, wherever you get your mail. And I said, well, I get my mail in Texas still. And she's like, it doesn't matter. Wherever you get your mail, put that on there. So I had a California driver's license with a Texas address for like 4 years. It was just the weirdest thing. And so like when I go to the airport, I would get double takes at my license because it said Dallas, Texas, but it was on a California ID. And I just thought it was pretty asinine. It was like that they care so little, or that's just how much it means on the residence, or I guess what you would say dwelling. And then also I had a friend too that he just has like a PO box. So it's not a house or a residence. It's just a post, like a USPS or a UPS store, and that's just on his license.
Yeah, and that's just if you give an address, what you're doing is you're claiming that you're the agent of service of process.
Okay.
That's why I always give them a care of. That way, in my situation with my companion, she's a servicer of process. I'll accept that as diplomatic channels of notice, because then we can look at it and say, well, this doesn't go with our views. And according to scripture, a man doesn't let the woman go to court, and the woman doesn't let the man go to court. They go in as one and they profess the trust. They can't beat that.
Just to get him in the cuffs. What I was probably going to do is the original driver I pulled over, just cut him a ticket and send him. I guess. I mean, that's all I got was this. And I had to get it out of his wallet.
So he never ID'd?
No.
See?
Put him in failed ID.
He never ID'd. They got his ID, but he never ID'd. And they admit this because he did it under threats, duress, and coercion. But they're going to push that ID anyway. Okay? See how that works? They're going to go into court and say that he ID'd. How does that work? If they say that he failed to ID, and that's the citation, then how did they get the ID?
Mm-hmm.
Which one? Block the traffic stops.
The first guy, the driver.
Yeah, I get here.
And then the other guy, once we got him in cuffs, he refused to walk to the car as well. So,
Like made us carry him.
yeah.
Like made us carry him. Really?
Is it the Monmouth County Commissioner?
Yeah, Derek Phillips. Derek Phillips is on.
You voluntarily hunt a deer down, and then he makes you carry him. These people are fucking idiots.
Oh, okay.
3 brain cells between the 4 of them.
Yep. This is my brother. I'm Gary. This is my brother Gary.
The white one.
This is my other brother
does the
Gary.
Pickup that he was driving doesn't. But the actual car I made the traffic stop on has a license plate.
Again, he made a traffic stop based on the license plate. So again, it's indicative that there's a contract, and now they're going to impose that contract whether he's working or not. Again, that's the reason for diplomatic channels of notice, to find out if he was in fact working, so they don't make a false claim while issuing a United States security.
What was the passport?
Well, he was in the truck and he stepped out because he was I guess that Crown Vic or whatever I pulled over with Cody, and he followed him right into this house, and he was just coming up trying to yell at me during the traffic stop, preventing.
Is it a house or a dwelling?
Me from getting this guy's ID,
taking your full attention away.
The entire attention.
Oh,
I couldn't even focus. I couldn't even focus on this guy, so I immediately detained him just so I could. I mean, he was failing ID, so I detained him, and then had to deal with this guy, and that's when Rugg showed up. We tried to detain him for the.
I told him to come talk to me, and he goes, "No, fuck you.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself. Come to me." So I walked over there to him.
So he interjected himself into the traffic stop, huh? You interjected yourself onto that property and violated the conservation easement. Your jurisdiction does not extend beyond that easement. And those easements are all on public roads. They extend from the center of the road to 15, I believe it's 15 feet on like a two-way street. They're different according to the different stretches of roads according to how wide they are, but they go from the center approximately five feet beyond those utility poles. That's their jurisdiction. But then when you put that number on your house, there's a presumption that the extension is to the house and that front door. But again, once that door is presented, you have no right to pass through it. So either way, going into that house was again another interjection. First, he interjected himself on the land, then he interjected himself into the house. Two very different jurisdictions again.
He turned around and freaking took off into the house. So he needed us to do that.
I appreciate you coming out. No, I hadn't done anything yet. I've been dealing with this guy.
Do what you gotta do.
Do what you gotta do. Telling them that they don't care what he does. They're going to back him up. Do what you got to do. We're here for you without having to say it. Why else would they tell him that? And the only reason they tell him that is because they don't know themselves. Yet they all stand around with phones that can look it up. And not a one of them will do it because they're all believing he's going to do what he's going to do anyway. He already.
Hey, Keith. Look, the way that you have it paused right here, look at all those cops. They're staring at the body cam. They're staring at that cop. So you got 5 dudes standing there, and the leader, their sergeant, is literally covering for him. He's saying those key words, evading or, the trigger words to justify. Instead of saying, "Oh, you're a dumbass, let him go," they just double down on it. They're doubling down on it.
Did you watch the Case Allen shit after the shooting? There was a lot of video from all the different cams where the cops were walking away.
Oh yeah, in Memphis.
Yeah, was that Memphis where Case Allen was shot?
It was where the 5 cops killed the Tavon. What's his name?
Tavon, no,
Williams.
Case Allen was shot in his car, a little BMW, because he said he's not rolling down the window. And they fucking just opened fire on this kid. Fucking, unbelievable. You have to watch it sometime, but nonetheless, the body cams continued. They told them to keep them on. They continued for 20 minutes or so that I saw after the shooting of this kid. It's on my page, Keith. You could see it back in time about 2 months ago. But they had people come. They assigned people to the guys. Everything was just like they had a whole process that they went through after these guys killed these guys to protect the posterity of this shit, I guess. Are you okay? Are you okay? Do you need psych evaluation? Are you okay? They were so worried about them, the guys that just fucking murdered a kid. It was crazy.
Yeah, and that's the sick thing about it is that they ask these guys that are doing these atrocious things if they're okay. They don't go to the family and ask if the family's okay. That's for the news. Let people hear about that through the news. We need to deal with our officers to make sure they're okay, so they can keep going out there and protecting the corporation, as the one of the commenters said. That's
revenue collection.
Lynch versus New York Department of Justice. It's not the duty of the U.S. police to protect Americans. They're not there to protect Americans. They're there to protect the United States. The United States is not a federal government. It's a corporation. Federal government means all entities of the government of the United States, including the United States Postal Service and the Postal Regulatory Commission.
So the Clearfield Doctrine says they have to act like a fucking corporation then.
Correct.
And they're not.
Right.
They're actually not following any of the rules.
And nobody really comprehends this immunity thing. Because, again, if the states ceded their jurisdiction to the United States is located in Washington, D.C., and Washington, D.C. has no statehood, then how do they have fucking immunity under sovereignty at all? None. It's just people really need to start learning how to comprehend how this works.
You can do whatever you want to. I don't care.
Well, that guy's definitely going for interfering first and foremost, resisting, and then.
Okay, so he pulled one guy over for a traffic infraction for taillights being out, brake lights being out. But this other guy's going to go first and foremost for interference, which is, again, in most states, it should be that interference with official acts is something that you issue to somebody that is already under supervision, first and foremost. So you can't just go out giving out interference with official acts if that somebody isn't already under supervision, right? So I say these guys are supervisors. They think they have supervision, and yet they're blind as fuck.
The driver,
24 traffic.
with him, me having to find his ID and everything like that, you'd say failed ID or.
We're going to be at 69 just outside Winsdale, City Limits, Car Wash. It's going to be Robert Sam Mary 1319. Robert Sam Mary 1319.
Did he have a passport card too?
Mm-hmm.
Explains why they're acting the way they're acting.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go. You see that? They got a passport too. That explains why they're acting the way they're acting. You see what's going on with the passport? If you apply for a passport, they know you want to get out.
Yep.
That passport isn't to let you go anywhere. It's to keep you in. Suckers.
They pulled all the way in and
what? Looks like it's
Yeah, I'm about to make a phone call too.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, my plan of hand.
Yeah. I'm gonna go see what's in the vehicle. I'll just keep him in my car since we've already got him. Yeah. We patted him down for weapons and stuff. He's still got stuff on him, but no worry about it.
Okay.
We'll just keep him in my car. Interfering for sure.
Yeah, interfering.
What'd you stop him for?
So I didn't even stop this guy. He wasn't even
I know
involved.
that.
The original car that I stopped was no taillights whatsoever on the car.
Okay.
He was headed north on 14. And when I caught up to him, he turned on the 37 and drove all the way to this house.
I did not know what he was doing when he started running from me.
Yeah.
All right, man. Hold your glasses. Okay, so just so you're aware, you are under arrest, okay?
For what crime?
For interfering.
But, interference is a physical act.
Hey,
It's
hey,
not-
Derek.
Not a, not
No, we can't hear you. Microphone.
Again, physical act. He's absolutely right. Interference is a physical act, and this officer asked him to come here, and that's what he said. Fuck you, I ain't doing nothing. Okay, so the physical act of interference wasn't on him at all. Period. Again, the officer interjected himself onto that land because this man refused to interject himself into it by going out on the easement. This is why if you're on one side of the fence and you're drinking and it's your property, they can't do anything. But they ask you to come out and talk to them. As soon as you walk out, boom, now they've got jurisdiction and they're going to arrest you for public intoxication. They do know what those easements are for, and they do operate with them. They know exactly what they're doing in this shit.
Hey, Derek, have you ever had a Texas driver's license?
I have it before in the past. Yeah, I use my Texas travel ID though. Is the ambulance on the way? I believe I'm bleeding.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, you do have a cut on your face. Yep, they're on their way. Okay.
Is your supervisor on the way as well?
Our supervisor's already here.
Can't speak. Is it he or her?
You don't need to speak with him.
I don't get to speak with a chance to speak with the supervisor.
Oops. Remember that SOS? Mayday, mayday, mayday?
Mayday, yeah.
Violation of upline. Violation of upline. Violation of right to know. Violation of freedom of expression. These people are just fucking stupid.
Why do I not get a chance to speak with you?
I can go ask him if he wants to speak with you,
Yeah,
but
I'd like
no,
to-
we're not required to have you speak to our supervisor.
No, I know you're not required. I've asked.
I'm more than happy to go ask him.
Detective Fitzpatrick.
They're not required to by their policy, but that policy violates, again, failure of communication. Allowing false information be placed on the record. The record must reflect accurately. These people are the ones lying.
Rick was able to locate those DLs. I got them when you're ready.
Go ahead.
Return on that deal comes back to Cody Storm Voss, white male, 11/14 of 1994, address out of San Leon, Texas. That is going to be eligible. Class Charles, expiration 11 of 2024, no 29 is the locals. Advisory for the second.
Go ahead.
Return on Derek Lee Phillips, 4/22 of 1986. This one to be a white male, I just out of La Porte, Texas. That is going to be eligible. Class Charles,
Anything far?
expiration.
I didn't see anything.
How's the locals?
Plain view.
10-4, thank you. Can you add both of them to the call, please?
I don't know if you're gonna leave it or tow it or.
I'm just going to leave it.
And notice they use their dispatch radio system. They still call it a call. Okay. Remember, that's an international security device.
He asked for the keys.
to move on, so he can get his car out.
I got the keys to this one. I don't know where the other one is.
Keys to this one. I don't know where the other one is. It sounds like they're trying to get ready to take some property too.
Hey, Cody. Hey, who are these people out here?
Yes, Terry Phillips and Karen Phillips.
Okay. Are you okay if you leave the vehicle with them?
Are you taking us
Yes, sir. Right now you're under arrest, and so is Derek
for what crime?
for failed ID.
You had my ID.
Okay. Are you okay?
See? How can you fail to ID if you took it from me? Okay, that's not a failure. That's a completion of identification. But the problem, again, is in those courts, all parties must be identified to such certainty that there is no mistake. And this guy was telling him, you can't have that ID because the commercial identification isn't valid. I'm not working. I'm not performing. I'm not in commerce.
Okay, leaving the vehicle here with them.
Yeah, they can have. It's not a vehicle though.
It's automobile. I'm not involved in commerce. I told you guys.
I'm not gonna argue semantics.
Okay.
Hey, can I speak to you? Look,
I'm not going to argue semantics. This isn't semantics. This is the law. The law is specific. Language is specific. And the law that is specific uses a specific language. Your commercial law is the specifics of driving, commerce, traffic, transportation, all of those things that you're claiming as a vehicle in transport, traffic and all that. You're making the false claims because you're assuming that everything you do is knowing. These guys profess that they know the law. Really? How much research have you done in the law? 6 months in the academy where they gave you tactical training, which is physical military tactics? Come on.
I know. Hey guys,
Where are the keys at so they can move the vehicle?
you had them.
I put them back in your pocket. Are they still in your
I
pocket?
can't tell these handcuffs.
Okay.
I thought you put them both on your hood. Oh yeah, it might be there.
I'm gonna give him the
Give
keys.
it to Terry. Yeah. So you're taking this both.
Can you take a public service for us?
What do you think on him just resisting and interfere or?
Yeah. Yep. 100% interfering.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt.
You
But
resisting? Yeah. Oh yeah.
but I didn't know if you want to do evading too. Or...
100% interfering. Really? Again, he didn't leave that land. You are the one that violated the easement and entered into the land. Of course he's going to resist.
No, I'm not worried about the evading.
Where'd they go? Here are the keys to this car. I don't know what happened with this.
I think they're
This
in
key.
his pocket or something.
Okay.
Derek's got a few things on his person that he'd like to give you guys. Doesn't want to go to jail with him.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll pull him out real quick and grab that stuff, and we'll get to you. Okay.
All right.
Hey, do you want your wallet to go with you as well, or you want to leave it here with them?
I don't know. Did Derek take his wallet, or is he leaving it here?
I think he's leaving it. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Another thing somebody mentioned in chat, yeah, it's a failure to ID is a secondary because they initially pull him over for no taillights. Now that's a fix-it ticket.
Yeah, they could just ticket him and let him go.
Right. It's just a warning. A fix-it ticket. If they see him within 2 weeks and it's not fixed, they can give him an actual citation, supposedly. Again, however, that's only if he's performing commercially. Period. Even the Highway Transportation Safety Act is built on commercial setup. Got to be in commerce for that to apply. Therefore, it doesn't matter if you got taillights on or not.
I don't know because
I mean, we can take it with you to jail.
That would be a matter of personal preferences for your own safety, so somebody doesn't rear end you, so that you end up having to pay for your own damages and theirs.
I don't want y'all to be going. I mean, you can.
It's your wallet, man. I mean, it's whatever you want
I
to
just
do.
don't think it was right. Like, I mean, you could have just given me a citation, and I
Okay.
could have.
We're beyond that now.
What are y'all getting him for?
Interfering with public duties.
When y'all went into his house and
See, he's on it. He's on it. He knows that that friend didn't interject him. They went in and got him. He wasn't interfering with official acts. He didn't approach them. He didn't go across that easement. They did.
without a warrant. And
Okay, I guess the wallet's gonna go with you to jail. That's fine.
Woolite protects your favorites from fading, pilling, and stretching. Woolite, protect what you love.
So what do you guys think so far? These guys have a little bit of a nugget on their shoulders, or do they know what they're doing or not?
Kids are sharp. I'm going to go ahead with, I think they're obviously being manhandled by a bunch of fucking, and I hate to say it, pigs. I don't want to say it because there's not a belief system that I have that all of them are alike. But these guys are bullying these kids and not listening to them, putting their egos, I guess, ahead of the facts that are being presented to them. They're just going, we don't need to listen to you. You got long hair. You're an idiot. What do you got? Mutton chops there. I mean, what are they looking at the kids and judging them for and not paying attention to them? And that it appears to me is exactly what they're doing. And the kids are actually smart. They're saying, here's the truth. Here's what we're not doing. How can you say we're doing something we're not doing? And they just don't want to hear it.
No, they're definitely intelligent. They knew their rights. They knew their laws. They were prepared. But you can just see the escalation from the cops, man. That's, you have to get to that point where you know what you know. You know you can defend yourself, but do you just hand over your ID and say, okay, fine, or do you go to where the level where it is now, where now you have a big lawsuit and you should be making some money to pay for that taillights that went on. You know what I mean? Like, it's clear cut. Yeah, these cops are idiots.
And that's where we're going to get to one of these days. It's going to be so clear and cut that people are going to be able to walk in, drop their paperwork on the counter, and pick up the check from the clerk.
Is the actual charge it failed ID since it was on the traffic stop, or is it a transportation code something?
I believe it's failed ID.
Again, the commenter in the chat, the ID failure to ID is secondary. Listen to what he say. I guarantee you, he's going to say something about it comes after the traffic stop for the taillights. And they're not going to give him a ticket for that, evidently.
For being lawfully detained. I'll have to look it up. Okay. So I don't care what you do.
Failure to ID after being lawfully detained. Again, if it's just a taillights out and they're just going to give him a warning, that's not lawful detention.
Well, you heard the sergeant. I don't care, whatever you want to do. It's like, no, I'm the sergeant. You can't have a failure to ID as the main charge. Like, you can't. What's the real charge?
Correct.
It's like I said, it's a secondary. It could stop with cops educating themselves, especially their leaders, man. I mean, this is ridiculous. He's letting these idiots run around making bad calls,
Right. And that's why I say I always get on people about the duty to express themselves once they have that knowledge. You have a duty to let others know now.
Guys, they're purposely putting guys out there that are uninformed, uneducated, and unwilling to learn. They have, in reality, I've been told that they look for certain personality types to put in certain areas just because they know these guys will be policy enforcers. They won't question it, and they got an ego, so they're perfect for the badge.
Well, absolutely. And in these bigger communities, you have officers that are patrolling neighborhoods that they're not from.
So, that's exactly the problem. I mean, there's no community involvement, there's no community connections, and these guys, I mean, and here, then something happens, something gets out of hand, something that shouldn't be, they transfer them. And I mean, let's look at what other organization that might have representation of Jesus and the cross and runs fucking everything. What do? Priest gets caught up in something, and let's not say it's the Catholic religion. Every fucking religion has their problem with the same thing, but they just transfer them around rather than solving the problems. It's just, well, we'll move them.
Yeah, and that's the way to get people to go ahead and shoot and kill people that they don't know because they're not in the same area where their family lives. So they're not going to give any disposition on that. They're going to be fine with it. That's not my mom and dad. That's not my kids, so I don't have to worry about it. I get to go home at the end of the night.
Keith, talking about the way the sergeant's handling the job, the call. And I this is the first time that I'll talk about my military career, but to be a leader, I would never do that, only because my leaders didn't do that. You're being held accountable. If I seen someone below me or even above me, like, hey, that is not right, you're wrong, do it this way, they're not doing that here. they'll just let them hang themselves and be like, well, whatever, because they know they're not going to get in trouble. They got qualified immunity, right?
Such bullshit. They should the supervisor, to be proper, in my opinion, just based on having run crews of a fucking bunch of people in perilous situations after storms, chasing hurricanes and shit. If you have a problem, you separate the people. If it's real fucking big deal, have them all write it down so that you know exactly where each person's coming from their separate places, so that nobody is telling each other what to say. Otherwise, you'll never fucking get to the truth.
Exactly. And that's what this is all about. That's why I refuse to accept anything less than the truth anymore, because I realize it's not just me. Come out of my selfishness and realize that there are a lot of other people out there that might have more cases than I do. I got 93 cases, but I can see how somebody could certainly have more than that. So I've got to come out of that self and realize that in order for me to be able to do that, Isaiah 54, protecting the women and children, even though I don't have any of my own anymore except my companion, my ultimate duty again is to pass on the knowledge.
They're all your children, brother. We're all together. I mean, it just even I don't believe someone like you that fosters the help that you know that people need doesn't consider yourself in some sense or another a father type figure. You should. And not
Well, I
for
do. That's why I say, and you guys don't hear it much, but your brothers are my brothers. Your sisters are my sisters. Your children are my children. My children are your children. My brothers and sisters are yours. It goes back and forth. We're all connected one way or another. And regardless of whether you think of them as your children, I urge you to think of them as the children of the Almighty. They are the source of life.
Can I rephrase what I said? And in a sense, when I say father, like, you're not a father in the sense that Father in heaven is the Father. That's the only one that I'll ever call
I know.
father.
Yeah, I
But
know.
my understanding is you came through a foster system. I'm very familiar with that and the ups and downs, ins and outs, and chaos of it. And that's where the importance that I think you've learned this, self-reliance, etc. But also that you knew there was others that were right there with you, that were behind you, that had no fucking clue what was going on. And I think back then you learned that you wanted to help the ones that weren't able to help themselves. So I applaud you, man, and fucking thank you.
Well, that was part of my struggle with trying to put my family back together because it'd been destroyed. And like I said last night, my older sister died before she hit 50, and my older brother is doing life in prison for murder. One of the guys that I know had more cases than I did. He started his cases when he was about 10 years old. They started keeping track. He'd been kicked out of like 6 states by the time he'd become an adult. I mean, how do you kick somebody out of a state?
There's a fucking whole show here, an episode sometime if you want. I mean, there's a fuckload, and then maybe some follow-up stuff, because I've got people that I know from years gone by that may be interested in talking about that. It's just, unfortunately, that is such a fucked up scenario. The foster system, the kids, and how dark it can actually be.
Yep. And it's amazing that even as a young boy, seeing what was happening, it didn't impact me until I was an adult and I looked back and realized what was really happening. Because as a young boy, you don't understand it. You really don't. It's just confusing.
Ditto. I hear you. Fucking let's move forward with this, but going backwards, I wouldn't mind talking about it. And just my experience was nowhere near yours, I'm going to tell you, but it's a completely different flip side of it that's fucking parallel, tandem, almost couldn't get any closer.
Yeah, so, well, we'll get into it one of these days, brother.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking cutting loose, take to jail. It's up to you. Do everything like you would normal.
Yeah. Do everything like you would do normal. Okay, they're trying to normalize this. They're trying to make a pattern so other people will see it and believe that that's just how it works.
Coaching.
Yeah, that they have no option.
want me to just deal with Derek, or you want me to just put both of them and I'll just transport him?
I'll book both of them in. That way we're not both off
I'll
the
just
street.
transport him.
What's he complaining
He's got a cut on his head, I think, from when I tackled him in the house.
So Derek was talking to him?
Yeah.
About what?
He just wants to talk to your supervisor.
Okay. What side is he on?
Huh?
What side is he on?
100%.
Yep.
Time to do your job, bitch.
Now I think we're going to see something interesting.
Do you need anything else done?
Like I said, I've not watched this yet, so I don't know how it's going to end or nothing.
Freaking hurts. I don't know what I hit.
Oh, it must have been him. You must have hit him, huh? While you were tackling him. Don't know what I hit. Maybe his forehead where he cut him.
It fell off in the room.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
I saw it laying there after we got him in cuffs.
We got all the way into the house.
Oh, yeah.
Into a bedroom.
Tackled him in the bedroom.
You got all the way into the house.
Yeah, like, turn around and took off.
333 copy, visual form.
Told me he wanted me to come over there and talk to him.
Thanks for joining, brother.
Oh, we're just waiting for EMS, huh?
Yeah.
So we are waiting for you.
Yeah.
Or which one? Yours is?
This guy.
And mom seems to, she was having like a full-scale panic attack.
Yeah.
Or acting like she was having a panic attack. I don't know.
Seems like they won.
Yeah. Tell her she's calm down on that. She was
Like,
like,
whoever showed
she
up
was, like,
calmed her down.
hyperventilating,
So.
like skip talking. Started talking. What?
I said, whoever showed up calmed her down.
Yeah. I guess it's her husband. This is their house. It's her husband. Dad said it's his house, so I assume that's going on. But,
EMS.
21 EMS Spencer. Yeah.
The old sergeant had to make a phone call.
Mm-hmm. He's the one that's doing the investigation. He's the one. See, when these guys don't do any research on what the knowledge is given, and then they turn around and get a supervisor on scene because somebody requested a supervisor, they continue to use the terms driving, motor vehicle, and this and that without giving the information that the people were telling them that they weren't driving, that they were traveling, that the one presented a passport, So when the sergeant goes up and talks to this other guy, he's going to be telling him that stuff. And now he's going to have to start searching and find out through the dispatch and everything where it came back no returns and all that, what the real issue with these guys, if they're really on the do not detain list and this and that.
I'll bet he's calling an attorney. I'll bet he's the municipality's attorney and saying, what can we charge him with? This is where we are in our fucking ordeal, our chaos, our fuck up. Here's where we are. What do you want us to do? Which lends itself to more RICO. If you can get a hold of the fucking communication logs of this fucking guy and he's calling an attorney and he's actually literally, what is that? Collusion?
Yes.
Is he colluding?
Yes.
Is that
Wizard, you want to know something that a lot of people overlook? It's something I know you've mentioned a few times. I think is my feeding back or is there someone else?
No, you sound fine here.
Okay, so I guess someone else feedback. You mentioned the USC code for certain elements of commercial aspects, right? Or is it was the USC, not the UCC, the USC, and definitions of motor vehicle within that too. Pretty sure it was a USC.
Yeah.
Either that or pretty sure it was, or UCC, one of the two, but it was in the commercial chapter of it, either way. And it defines motor vehicle as certain things. But once it's been modified it can no longer be considered that under that code. So that would be overreach. It would supersede any of the municipal codes definition in that case, because they can't call something that it isn't, because they have to also subscribe to that code. That being said, man, someone's feeding back bad.
It must be on your end, because it's fine here. Nobody else is complaining.
Everyone else is muted, right? Because it was feeding back bad.
Yep, everyone else is muted except me.
Okay. All right. So just recently there was an insurance case where the cops had just recently purchased an Explorer cruiser, and within 150 miles on it, it had had an engine fire or something, and it basically just burnt down, got totaled, and the insurance didn't want to pay for it. Oh, I'm sorry, no, it wasn't the insurance. It was under the Lemon Law at first that they wanted to try to get it, but they couldn't get it under the Lemon Law, because under the Lemon Law of that state, it wasn't considered a motor vehicle after the modification, right? But because it was being used, for I guess in the USC, when they tried to call it a motor vehicle, that the modification too was somehow used with the insurance company. I think it's a little known trick. I'm not too sure. I'd have to look more into it. It's a recent case, so I just kind of got a cursory look at it. But you might want to have a look at it too, because it might very well be that we could be looking to USC definitions of even such things as motor vehicle to very easily prove beyond any contention in a court that what in fact they're claiming is not valid in every case, every traffic case involving something as non-commercial.
Steve Leto just did a video on that.
Yeah, he was talking about something. It was related to that. So but what he mentioned in there is how it relates. It's one of the little known things, is that when the definition isn't fitting for what your defense is or affirmative defense might be, that you could look to the USC for a further definition to
that's what I speak on with these securities versus customs. You've got a securities brokers and you've got customs brokers. So when you deal with my site, it says not secure. That's because there's no securities being issued. It's a custom site at the custom level, just like my bike. It's a custom, so they can't apply it to their code. I can't apply it unless I'm operating commercially, and I don't have such capacity. I don't have an oath of office. So it's very clear and distinct when you point it out to them, but they're going to have a problem with it. And that's why I say, and Paul will affirm it, that it's not going to be every stop where you're going to have a successful video. Even after you have a successful video, you might get stopped and end up with a failed video, as they call it. These people will do what they're going to do. Do what you got to do.
ultimately, YouTube's it's a private commercial platform, so really have no recourse. But when you're talking about in the private servers and such like that, I mean, you only need to look to the dark web to see there's absolutely zero restrictions on what you want to do, as long as you're willing to pay for it yourself and not use one of these other corporate entities to do the transmittals for you.
Tribe, you need to stay off the dark web. That's a bad place.
I've never been on the dark web. I've only read about it in books.
The Onion Route
Hey,
is just dark hole.
Harry Nutt in the comments says traveling means commerce in the U.S. code. If we're getting technical, I thought that wasn't.
No, I don't know that it's traveling. I do know that it says commerce means traffic, transportation, or trade.
There's some truth to that, because I haven't seen traveling as something that we'd want to actually say we're doing if it's non-commercial. I think moving, and you could be moving personal property. I think just passage and moving are the only two terms that you could probably use to have absolutely no commercial definition or association whatsoever.
Transitioning. Freedom of transit shall be guaranteed throughout the entire territory of the Union.
Okay, transit. So transit, passage, and moving.
Yep. All right, let's get back to it.
Phillips.
Let me see if I can forward it up to where we might hear somebody talking at the car.
How you go from being a cop to a sovereign citizen.
Phillips.
How you go from being a cop to a sovereign citizen.
How do you go from being a cop to a sovereign citizen? You don't. As a cop, you are a sovereign citizen. Fucking morons.
Dumbass.
How's it going?
Dumbass.
Sounds like y'all have fun out here. Huh? Yeah. So he's got certain where you're talking to right now. He's got an abrasion on his head. When I tackled him. Mom knows how my
Hey, check this out. I want to show you something. Just come on in here. This is my gun room that I'm trying to get set up, and you can see there's a bunch of random.
I kind of like that video more.
He's gonna ask his wife. He doesn't think so though. Okay.
What's your birthday, Miss Phillips?
12/29.
No.
Yeah. It's gonna stay apart.
Ma'am, can I get your name as a witness? Karen Phillips. Is it with K-A-R-E-N? P-H-I-L-L-I-P-S. Just make sure. What's your birthday, Miss Phillips?
12/29/57.
And a good phone number for you?
903.
You're getting all kinds of security information from all kinds of people.
Shut the fuck up, lady.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
They're having an event at LinkedIn for
And who was that showed up in this car right here?
That's my husband, Terry.
Terry Phillips.
Give her a middle name.
You know his birthday offhand?
Fuck me.
19.
Get his social. Get his social security number too.
Thank you.
Yep.
You don't have to give them any of that information, correct?
None.
They don't have the right to.
You shouldn't open your
Violation,
no rights.
Violation of the 4th and 5th Amendment. First Amendment, 9th Amendment, 10th Amendment.
No.
56.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You want to take pictures of my arm real quick?
Oh, yeah. Take pictures of his arm. Yeah, it's
Police
got a-
brutality.
I'll get you to 28 in a second.
What
Yeah,
a
assault.
weasel douche canoe.
Assault on a Leo.
No, assault on a pussy.
His dog did that last night.
We'll get some pictures of him in the jail. Rather too.
We saw when the EMTs came up. He's like, "Yeah, I had to tackle him." Oh yeah.
I'm gonna need a couple days off.
Yeah, he interjected into our stop, so I had to tackle him.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah. Hey.
In his living room.
Needs to go to
Yeah.
jail or?
That's totally up to you, dude.
I know, man.
I don't know what the situation was.
Sarge
before.
keeps telling me just do what I normally would.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dude, he's just telling you to do what
I know. I
you,
just
you know what you're doing.
I don't know what the situation is, but I was forced to tackle him in his bedroom. Yeah, yeah.
He
I mean,
confused me.
If he failed, if you had to take him and detain him and find his ID, he's failing to identify himself. So
What?
Telling me just do what I normally would.
yeah,
I mean,
dude, he's just telling you to do what
I know. I
you,
just
you know what
confused
you're
me.
doing.
He
I mean,
confused me.
If he failed, if you had to take him and detain him and find his ID, he's failing to identify himself. So
If you have to detain him and find his ID, that's failure to ID. He didn't have to find his ID. The dude gave him his wallet, and then he searched through it and said, and said he didn't want to search through it, so he asked the guy where it was. Okay, so I already had the ID. It wasn't a matter of finding it. Again, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're babbling.
Just based on the situation, if he's involved, I would take him and book him.
Well, that's what I was thinking, but you know how Sergeant Blair can be sometimes. It just,
No,
he was just like,
he's being straight up. He's just telling you to do what you would normally
do
do.
what I normally do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
just because they're elected officials and stuff doesn't change what we're doing.
You should be telling them to do the right fucking thing.
What was that?
Too
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Check this.
No integrity. No integrity.
do what I normally do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
just because they're elected officials and stuff doesn't change.
Just because they're elected officials and stuff doesn't change anything. Really. It's those elected officials that are liable. So this is why I tell you to go after that clerk. The clerk is the one that's making the financial commercial issue. And they're accepting it from somebody that has no authority to issue it. And they're creating a United States security and not communicating with the United States about it. That is fucking RICO. Conspiracy.
no, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. So just if you want to do it, if you want to release them, release them.
So here we have, I want to point this out very succinctly. Are they following the law if they have a choice to release him? No, they're using their own discretion. Very valid argument in any court. If the officer uses his discretion and has no training and no education on the law, and he's not using plain language, then why does he have discretion? Because again, if he signs on that ticket under UCC 3-402, he was authorized to do so by his public officials. Again, meaning he doesn't have liability. And if they signed on it, they don't have liability. So again, where is it? It's in the document.
Where's the delegation of authority coming down on all this fucking bullshit? I mean, there has to, this is just.
Well, that's what I'm pointing out. They don't have any.
That's it. That's it. That's the point.
Yeah, it's all of their own discretion. They have a choice, just like you do.
There you go. There can't be if there's no liability, then there's no delegation of authority. There couldn't be.
He's definitely going to jail, though.
Oh, without a doubt. When you showed up, I was already about to tell you to put him in cuffs, and then he started spouting off at you. No, I'll take care of that one because I had already.
So, what was he going to get him for before he came, if he hadn't already interjected himself? Because it wasn't until this guy came that he turned around and asked him to come here, and he said, "No, fuck you." And that's when this guy turned around and ran him down into the house, right? All fabrication, guys. They invented it as they were going along.
He made up my mind that he was getting put in cuffs next. I just was dealing with home dude.
Yeah.
Like trying to juggle.
I want to see what the sign on his truck says.
I want to see what the sign on his truck says. And see, again, this is part of the problem with trying to say that you're not in commerce when that presumption rides when you have identification on you and that license plate on the car. This is, again, I had private property placards that I used, and I removed the plates when I wasn't in commerce and put private property placards on. Then when I was in commerce doing deliveries, rural deliveries, foreign country deliveries, I put that plate back on again. When I got done doing my deliveries, it came off and I put the private placard back on.
Yeah, a lot of cases that you're said to be committing a motor vehicle offense or anything like that. I guess if you listen closely, they'll say, "We saw you, traveling the vehicle at so and so." Says, "Well, I wasn't traveling. Prove to me I was traveling." That'll take them for a curveball. You know what I'd like to do one time is have it'd be interesting for us. It's one of these streams one time online or yours or when things are kind of slow is to do some of this role playing. I'd like to see even battling of common law against U.S. code and take turns playing sides just to see who could whittle down which one.
I'll use every one of their fucking jurisdictions and show them how it's uniform throughout all of them.
Right, but in certain situations, certain approaches are more applicable, and depending what they say, just for I guess a lesson for the general public, because you have so many choices. I think people can get confused, and if you start to go down the wrong path when there's a clear opportunity because they just set themselves up because you weren't aware of it, you know what I'm saying? It's nice to see because to what I've noticed is that they basically set themselves up. You don't need to start making claims or asserting anything. You just let them talk and then ask them the right questions. Exactly. And I think if you work it from that way, it really puts you on it puts them in a way that they can never accuse you of being anything but asking for genuine clarification of what they're claiming now.
Yep, in good faith. I question.
Exactly. The problem is when you start making claims that they're not going to agree with, you have to start substantiating them. And now you're lost in the weeds. If you could just keep the burden of proof on them the whole time, which is an art, I think that'd be the best thing that people could do because, it really takes a lot of burden off of you. Right. You really have to control the situation and let them talk themselves into a hole. And at some point, you'll have an easy exit that won't require a lot of effort or, you'll have the confidence to do it, I should say.
Well, yeah, and that's why I mentioned that I urge everybody to get a concise English handbook and read the Plain Writing Act. When you read the Plain Writing Act, you realize these people have nothing to go on because the plain words that they're using are certainly defined. Again, the law is specific and language is specific.
Yep.
Do y'all know that Cody?
Uh-huh.
Y'all know him? How do y'all know him?
He's a friend
of Derek's?
Yeah.
Okay. And Derek's your son, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know where he came into play or anything like that.
No, just a family friend.
Okay. Okay.
Just a family friend.
So just to explain, I think I spoke with you a minute ago, didn't I?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So I originally pulled over Cody for.
Oh yeah, I guess you did. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You pulled him over for no. Where'd you pull him over? Right?
14 and 37, and he drove all the way into the residence.
Okay, so you pulled him over at 43rd and 7th or whatever, but he didn't. So you didn't pull him over.
No, that's where he saw the infraction at.
Right. It's where he flipped on his lights. The pullover happens when they stop. They pull over and stop. That's the pullover. You can't have a pullover until it actually happens. Again, they don't know what the fuck they're saying. This is why I get on everybody else, you guys included. I urge you, get that concise English.
Yeah. Wow, there you go.
83% of these animals
We'll just get him at the jail.
I can sign one. That's fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Rob, are you? Michael, this is witness here? Yeah. All right. All righty. Anything else? No, we're good. All righty. Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Well,
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
You guys want to come here 37 status?
We're 10-4. If I had not advised already, we got 2 in custody.
Okay, I'm going to leave it up to you guys if you want to watch the rest of it. It looks like it's all the officer in the car and the transport. So it doesn't look like there's going to get much more excitement going on. But I'm going to go ahead and grab that link and drop it in the chat for everybody so you can review it on your own time. So let's open the panel up for some discussion here, and we'll go from there. Greetings, AK Yogi.
Hey, how's it going, Keith?
Good, good. Yourself?
Great. I would like to bring something else into this discussion.
Sure.
I'm going through trying to get guardianship of my nephew that I've taken care of for a year. And now the government is using third party to get all the information that the government's not allowed to collect from me.
Right.
So they send a third party.
Yeah, and that's again a violation of your First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendments. They're looking for incriminating material. They're doing it through a third party, which is violation of the personal privacy under 4, for takings clause on 5, by association under number 1. You don't have an association with them.
I didn't know all of that, but I knew that they weren't getting all my fucking information because they're a third party. And I just want to bring this to people's attention that this is how they're trying to do this now to skirt around it.
Yeah, and the easy way to defeat that again is Steve became familiar with this last week or so. 32 CFR 1602.4 area office, and it says the Selective Service is responsible for all administration and operations in the area pursuant to the local board. And so we're finding that it's an administrative court, right? Ask him, is this an administrative court? Yep. I believe you're under the authority of the Selective Service according to 32 U.S. or CFR 1602.4. They're responsible for all administration and operations, and you're violating my Selective Service number. I have no contract with you. You'll see I'm of age. I'm not required. I'm retired. That makes sense?
Kind of. I just said no.
Yeah. Yeah. If they try to come after you for anything, let them know. No, you're dealing with a military operation here with that Admiralty flag, and that Admiralty flag is in an administrative court.
That's good to know.
Yeah, you're violating Selective Service operations. They're responsible. I'm not part of your National Guard.
That's good to know. I just told them, no, you're not getting it.
Yep. And that's all you got to do, folks, is educate yourself. If they happen to come up with that information and try to come after you again, that's a violation of the Selective Service. You have to prove that I'm in service. Sorry. My sign is now going to say out of order. Out of order. Out of order. So what about you guys? What do you think? I know you came on late, Tribe.
Yeah, I mean,
it's basically a traffic stop over taillights, which is a fix-it ticket, and therefore it's not even a citationable offense. They give you a different kind of piece of paper that says warning. It's not a traffic citation. So
okay, well, hang on a second.
Laws. They pull him over under traffic laws for the safety measure, which isn't an offense. So then they turned it all into a criminal event.
So I saw a YouTube video not too long ago where a cop pulled someone over for that, but he went with him right, but it was right by an auto parts store. Let him go in there and get it, or if he had it with him, I forget what it was. But if it's really a safety issue, fix it for him on site and bill him for it if it need be. But you can't say that he's a criminal and send him back on the road with defective equipment with a ticket, as if that ticket's going to make the world safer.
Yeah, and that's why I say it's the Highway Transportation Safety Act, and again, that's a military operation for fleet vehicles.
So I was pulled over for a taillight one time on my trailer, and I had a replacement tail light in my trailer. The officer would not let me he would not let me touch my trailer to fix it. And he was retiring that night. It was the last stop of his career. And I had just been to the gun range, so he got to inventory 24 guns on overtime that he didn't really want to do.
Some people walk into it, don't they, brother?
Yeah, they do. These people are assholes.
Yeah.
I don't think many people would condone this, but years ago, I had one of the, and this is going against the grain of all this free man stuff, but I had one of the better attorneys in town, and he handed me a stack of cards. He says, "Don't say a fucking word, ever. I don't give a shit what kind of trouble you're in. Hand him my card and say, as soon as I can get there, I'll be there and I'll talk for you." And man, I don't want to tell you how many times, because I couldn't, that I was let go in the middle of fucking situations where friends got arrested and everything. I shut the fuck up every time.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the video, right, let's look at what was done wrong. The cops clearly wrong. Everything, we saw it. They just step by step, wrong. But then now you look at the friend, the kid, the Crown Vic, right, asserting his rights, wasn't violent, didn't really participate in his own investigation into himself. The son who lives there in the white truck, gets out immediately, speaking knowledge, goes to grab a dictionary. He's loud, F you, he kind of escalated the situation. That's fine, but that's what happens when you escalate and you get overzealous on asserting your rights, and look what happened. So, and like that kid, or not this video, but that kid that same thing, asserting his rights, and the cops just shut the living shit out of that car. You know what I mean? Like, it's what road are you going to go down?
Yeah, and that's why I say, and I'm sure Paul will agree, you can't ever say that once you find a remedy that it's going to continue to work. And like I said, today's legal tender is negotiable instruments, and until you realize the proper way to negotiate, you're going to get screwed in those negotiations as much as they can.
Well, remember when Mitch got pulled over?
Go ahead, Steve.
No, I was saying, when you're on the side of the road, what's going to happen is what's going to happen, no matter what you say. So if you're going to say anything or do anything, it might as well be in the right way, that going forward, at least if you were abused or misused or something went wrong, at least you never did anything wrong. The record will always show that you stood in honor. And if you were violated, that you clearly, were violated by no fault of your own. When you start to react in bad ways, that can always be used against you later, even if they did violate you, because things can always be twisted. But once the evidence is there, it's up to interpretation. Never let that evidence exist.
Right.
It's probably the best thing. That's what Paul said last time, I think, when he was referring to just like what you were saying there, Wizard, is that, what's going to happen is going to happen. And the best thing you can do is stand true, period, throughout. And, that's the best that can really happen.
Yeah, if you listen to Paul's video where he got out of that traffic stop, you'll hear him. He does a lot of questioning, and the questions he poses are very succinct. When he goes through the definitions, they are there. They are what they use in the case laws, and they are standard. They are Supreme Court cases. That's the only thing that you really need to learn in regards to the negotiations is their definitions that they're using. So even if you do get pulled over, all you got to do is operate in good faith and ask them, what is this court's definition of driver? Can you show me what definition you're using? And even in that definition, you will find your way out. It will have to be some kind of commercial term used in there, and almost every time it's going to be person or resident, despite the definition of driver. So then you just go around and you ask them, well, what is your definition of person?
If you can't get a supervisor or sergeant, somebody who knows, though, you're going to end up playing with somebody who doesn't. They're going to end up just manhandling you. You got to.
And that's why, again, even if you can't get it done on the road, you still have to know this information so that when you go to the court, you can ask them. And again, that's that part of good faith. You're not going in there telling them definitions. You're asking them what definition they're using so you can refer to another term in that definition that is still a commercial presentation in all cases.
You know, Wizard, I'll say this, is that you're talking to a cop on the side of the road and you mentioned court cases, and it's automatically falling on deaf ears because they get zero law education. You know, they spend more time on the gun range and that. So it's pointless. What you can really do is you got to argue those legal principles or that follow the law that somehow they could put in there, but you're not going to be able to cite anything particular to them because that won't register to their low IQ. So you have to kind of get it back to the very basics, kind of like what Paul does on the broadcast a lot, is that he tries to bring it in the most common terms, but based on the principles, you know, and I think we all strive to do that the best we can because that helps us convey this to everybody out there, not just the policy enforcers, who, by the way, are paid by us. They're supposed to be there to help us. I mean, why are they out there sitting on the side of the road like predators and, you know, stalking people from behind and intimidating people? They should be out there protecting people and doing things that are, you know, peace officers, not this policy enforcers.
Trade that.
Can I add to this?
Yeah,
Sure.
or I yield.
Well, I think it starts with faith. You can't stand up to them without faith. And once you stand up to them with faith, they understand you have that. And then you start educating yourself, but faith is where it starts. You have to have the balls, the faith to stand up.
So when we look at the definition of communication under 15 U.S. Code, which is trust law, 15 U.S. Code 1692A definition, language is specific, the law is specific. This is why I made the thing about the comments. Comments are known to be fiction, fabrications, and inventions. A message, MESS hyphen AGE, message, is when you're of age to put something of value on a table. In a mess hall, you put something on a table, and when you put that something on the table, it's not just that you have something to put on the table, but that which you put on the table is something to share with others. Okay, so in this here versus comment or message, the term communication means the conveying of information regarding a debt directly or indirectly to any person through any medium. What's the middle? It's medium. It's not the bottom, and it's not the top. And when we think of trust, it's the grantee is at the top, the beneficiary is at the bottom. So the medium is the trustee. So the communication of any trust with any trustee is a communication of a debt. Why would you be communicating them?
Wizard, but I think they're using a different meaning of medium here because that would say the medium. They say any medium, and medium is singular for media, and as through any medium, meaning any, you know, the media are a plural medium.
Paper, which is now under the Electronic Records Act. So therefore, it's any paper or electronic medium. It's anything in there that is with a person. That's a .com extension or any business, as the officer said. We're just here to do business, right?
Was comment the one that was meant fiction?
Yes. Comment means invention, fabrication, or fiction. Conveying information non-commercial is message. Again, it's listen to the message and not the messenger. It doesn't say listen to the communication, not the communicator. It doesn't say listen to the comments, not the commentator. It says listen to the message, not the messenger.
That's crazy. Yeah.
All right. Well,
I just wanted to, can I just tell you a little quick story?
Sure.
I had seen I watched a couple, I don't know if you heard of Audit the Audit.
Yep.
I watched a video recently on there. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, you're loud and clear.
Is this better?
There you go.
Okay, so yeah, I watched a video recently on there, and there were two female cops who had pulled over a young lady who was going to work, and they pulled her over, and they didn't have like a radar. They were driving, and I guess the young lady passed them, and the cop was like, she had to have been going over 90 because I had race up to get to her. So she eyed it out or whatever, which I guess that's
Estimated.
yeah, I guess that's justified supposedly.
They
but
call it pacing.
okay, really interesting. I didn't know that. I thought that was BS for sure. But then when he explained it all at the end, I figured, wow, okay, so I guess, yeah, since she was going a type of speed, she had to pass up to get to her, and she pulled her over and ended up arresting her for reckless endangerment and reckless endangerment or something. And her and her coworker ended up flipping a coin to see if they wanted to take her in or not. And you hear her on the mic say, heads take her in, tails not.
Yep.
And they ended up both, I think, getting terminated after that. But I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, and that's what I pointed out in this video here. It's the same thing when they tell you it's up to you. That's the flip of a fucking coin. And they do not have any experience or any research in law. And the little that they might have is dismissed because they're under tactical training. And that's a military physical exertion of force for interception and kidnapping and assaulting other people.
Right.
Because I don't know any driver or traveler that pulls over and then gets out of the car and then assaults the officer. When in fact, that is exactly what's happening when they put that emergency light on and declare it a state of emergency against international law. Again, that Mayday SOS shit that I was telling you about. They're already stating they have an emergency, and that if you sit there and squawk, you're not the one that's supposed to be squawking.
Yeah, I got to rewatch this video over because I came in late. But I do remember Paul saying, like, he didn't even have to pull over. He could have just waved that officer by. And that, I mean, if you do that, do you get fleeing from an officer? I mean, because you're a traveler, it all comes down to going to court, right?
Well, the fleeing an officer is a secondary. If they don't have a first, then they can't get fleeing from an officer. And again, a traffic stop is not an arrestable offense. So why would you stop?
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's just.
Does that give you probable cause though? If I have a license plate light out, does that give probable cause to search my car?
No, that's not a crime.
Where's the crime? Yeah.
Okay.
Crime.
Okay.
Where's the injured party? Where's the victim?
I'm in Chicago, so literally they'll pull anyone out and just fucking do it anyways. It's happened to me.
Never let them search your car. Never give permission.
I can't not let them, dude. My boyfriend's bike got stolen after he said he was traveling, was on his motorcycle bike. He didn't have plates, and it was in Summit, and they're terrible, them cops. And literally, he said he was traveling. He got that thrown out in court. They took his new bike that he had just gotten and never got it back. And they impounded it for like, and he had to pay $500 to get it out, and he never got it.
Yeah,
still sitting there.
I'll tell you the story about my truck. They pulled me over, and I had I'd never got plates for my truck. So my truck, I always travel with the private property placards. And they pulled me over in the truck for the traffic citation that 7 years ago. So they impounded the truck. Well, the title never got transferred. Never had registered, never got insurance. So when they impounded it, I just went back to the owner and said, hey, man, they impounded that truck. Could you go back and get it? Sure.
Oh, wow. That's slick.
Sorry, You guys even showed on that traffic citation that I was the owner. You never contacted me to tow that truck.
Wow.
They're supposed to contact the private owner to get permission to make a tow, even if it's on public property.
Interesting.
If it's public car, a motor vehicle under contract on public property, then they already have communication with the state.
That's crazy.
Keep wearing them plates. Keep wearing them plates.
I know. My boyfriend loved your bike ID. He couldn't get over it. He was literally reading it off like, lives at mom's house. What else did it say? Oh my god, it was hilarious.
Expiration date?
Did you? Yeah.
Expiration date when the tires pop.
Because he rides bikes all the time, and I was showing him your video on your new bike that you put together, and he's like, "Oh, he's got the frame that came with the tank," and he knows all about like he customizes his own bikes and puts different parts on different parts. And that's why I said to you, if you need any parts, I can send you just to donate.
Yeah, and I certainly appreciate the offer because, I offer the PayPal link. I did put it down there for anybody that wants to share some love. I would certainly appreciate it. I do need some more upgrades on the bike and stuff. But first thing, I want to go out and get some glasses so I can start seeing a distance. It would be a little bit safer on the bike.
That would help. That would help.
But I did put that down there. But again, I accept more than just PayPal too. So if you've got things that I can use.
Yeah, he told you he can give you some ideas. I know you had a couple problems with, what was it, like rigging up some of the wires that were hanging down. I forget all the names of them. But he's like, I can, if he wants, I can write him a little, like tell him how to, I'm sure you figured it out. He uses electrical tape for a lot of that stuff, just to kind of rig it up there. But there was a few things that he said he could, give you a couple of pointers on, but he said it looks awesome. He's like, damn, I'm jealous.
Well, eventually I've got a mini bike frame back here with the 3-wheeler outside that I want to convert and put a good size engine on there for my companion. So she's got something that she can ride and it's a little more stable.
That's dope.
She's older than I am, so she can't handle a 2-wheel bike. She has a hard time walking to begin with.
Oh,
but if I give her an electric start with a 3-wheel setup. Yeah.
And now yours is 1 speed, right? It's a single.
Yeah.
Speed?
Yeah.
But how fast does that go?
Well, it's right now I didn't smooth out any of the ports or anything. So it's something I've got to do yet. But right now it gets about 30, 35.
Oh, okay.
When I get done with it, like the last one, it'll be about 40, 45 mile an hour.
Damn, is there like a governor you can pull up on that to make it faster, or
just a high performance carburetor?
Oh, okay.
Maybe do a little customizing on the exhaust. See, on a 2-cylinder, your intake and exhaust are open at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's why it puts out higher emissions. But if you can clamp or restrict the exhaust a little bit more, but open the intake more, you're going to have a better flow.
That's what you said on one of your videos, and he's like, he knows what he's talking about. I'm like, yeah, I can.
I've been doing this since I was 10. Yeah, I've been doing this for 46 years.
Oh shit, really? I didn't know that. Okay. So you ride fixie bikes and stuff?
I was at 10 years of age, my mom told me to go out and get a paper route. So I went out and got a paper route, but in that paper route, wintertime came along and it was hard to get up and down some of the walks. So I started offering extra services. One of those extra services was lawn care. So I was dealing with leaf blowers, leaf whackers, hedge trimmers, lawn mowers, and I was doing most of the repair myself. My dad was quite handy himself, so he was teaching me mechanics. Mom was teaching me the garden. I was making sales through the paper route and all the other things.
You're all DIY.
I was a very busy young man.
Hey,
do it yourself. That's awesome.
You were close to my age there, man, and I didn't have a leaf blower. I had to fucking sweep up the fucking shit, man, and bag it. And the people were so pissed if you didn't sweep every little bit of it for that $10. And this was 3 acres.
Oh man.
Not quite, but I mean some big properties back there.
You guys get a lot of snow?
Not where I'm at. No, fuck
No. Oh, okay.
no. We get a lot of grass.
We used to, not really anymore, but
No, I'm down south, but I've done a lot of mowing, like he's saying. And back when talking about 10 years old, we were sweeping and bagging everything. I wish we had a fucking blower.
Michael in chat asked me about that. You asked about the single speed. That's the bike itself, but then of course you've got a throttle on the engine so you can get up to speed. But I've also got, and you'll notice they're different sizes.
Oh, he's
the one that's on the
hanging
bike
up on
now
his-
is even the one that's on the bike now is even smaller than this one. So I get
okay.
a higher speed depending on the size. So it's all about gear ratio between the front and rear.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy.
Be
Those
careful,
look
Wizard.
brand new.
Be careful and remember you're invisible.
Your wheels look fucking badass, like the way the spokes are.
Yeah, those are $100 carbon fiber rims.
Those are nice looking, man. They look
Yeah.
sharp on that bike.
Well, they'll take the torque. The thin spoke rims, you can tweak them out.
Yeah.
And they'll collapse because if the spokes get weak and they're loose, you wouldn't think it, but the rim itself will actually collapse
Oh wow.
because the spokes, as they hold them tight, it's actually holding it in shape. When they come loose, it loses its shape. So if you hit a rock, all of a sudden that rim goes when it hits the rock, and then it'll just collapse. And that's because that's because I put that higher torque on it.
Okay. Yeah, it looks really good though, man. I'm proud of you, man. You got it together. I was like one video all parts, and the next video I'm like, shit, he's done already.
Yeah, it doesn't take very long to put them little kits together.
Yeah, it looks good though, man. I'm glad you got it together. But yeah, I won't keep you guys long. I just caught the end of it. I get my notebook out and start from the beginning here again because I gotta get my definitions down. So I will let you all go. And thank you again for having me.
Yes, thank you all for joining.
Peace and love.
Like I said, it's all about the plain language. Law is specific, language is specific. Get back to the beginnings, unlearn everything you've learned in this English system. Go back to its origins, get that concise English handbook. And if you ever need any help, I'll help you with etymology research, etiology, and epistemology. Etymology being the root words, etiology being the root cause, and epistemology being the root knowledge.
Did you learn that in school? Because I don't remember ever learning any of those words in school even.
Nope. That's why I say it's sad that people don't pick up another book after they graduate because they never teach you anything other than to remember what they train you on.
That's it, man. That's crazy. It's awesome you know it all though, man. You've taught me so much. I can't thank you enough.
Well, I'm going to keep doing it. And like I said, now that you know, you have a duty to pass it on.
Oh, absolutely. I'm
You see,
thinking
man-
about getting one of those. Once I get a car, I'm thinking about getting one of those dash cams too.
Yeah,
'Cause I
I
seen
would
another
I would
video-
advise people to get all around cams.
Yeah,
One on
because
each ear
in
facing
Chicago,
forward
they'll
and back.
take my phone and fucking throw it. They'll break that shit.
That's what I do for a living is install dash cams.
Oh,
I have one in
really?
my truck. Yeah, it's a touchscreen rear view mirror with a interior camera that I can put on a swivel. So if I ever get pulled over, I can actually have a great view of the cops standing there trying to violate my rights.
There you go. I mean, I'll probably have my guy install it because I mean, I won't have. It won't be like a badass one like you're talking about, but just a regular.
No, you can go on Amazon, spend $30, $40, and get a decent one, and do it yourself. It just plugs in.
Right on.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I
And
appreciate
that's why I recommend getting several.
Yeah.
So you can have one
sunglasses.
facing forward, back, one on each mirror, something like that. You can use this equipment. And like I said, those are international security devices.
And they're admissible in court, correct?
Yep. And that's why I say that's the international security device. And if you're using an international security device and a local officer who pulls you over, it's proof evident of foreign jurisdiction.
Oh, okay.
See, everybody's starting at the bottom. I keep telling everybody, you got to go from the top and let it trickle down. You are the cream of the crop. You are the cream of the crop, folks.
Right on.
All you
Thanks
have
for
to do
showing
is
me that,
rise.
buddy. I see it. Thanks, man.
keep an eye out online because I got this, and when I looked it up, I got this about 2 months ago. I haven't installed it yet, but it was brand new, never been installed anywhere. It's got front and rear facing camera. It's over $150 camera. I got it for $40 from
Yeah, I
somebody.
just took a screenshot of it when you put it up. So I appreciate you showing.
Yeah, find somebody. It's cheaper to buy another man's dream than it is to pay for your own. If somebody got one and they're not wanting to fucking use it, or they're not using it, or they need a little bit of money so they can keep their lights on.
Dude, yeah.
Then you
Or
got
my
a deal.
guy usually finds shit in the trash all the time. I swear to God, he comes up on things you wouldn't even believe. Computers left and right, tires, bikes. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much. You guys have a good night. I'm gonna hit it.
You too.
Take care.
Rest well.
All right. Much love.
And with that,
Thank
we
you.
are going on to the 3-hour mark. What are your closing message?
Well, real quick, Max, my friend, we work together. You're talking about cameras in the truck. We have 1, 2, 3 on the interior and 2 on the exterior of the truck on 2 different systems, and it's pretty freaking trick. But my closing statement is how you doing there, Tribe? I seen you got me blocked or something. I never see you say anything in chat. Did I say something to
Who are
offend
you?
you?
Who are you? I can't tell from
Who
the
am-
screen.
Oh.
Screen.
8214.
No, you're not blocked. I see you all the time. Oh, you don't
I
see
never-
me in chat because I have a new nomenclature for the names. You know my name now, right?
I don't even know it.
You are kidding me. Well, then I'll leave the mystery for you guys to figure out. It seems everybody else knows. They tell everybody else in the chat. I've never had to say it. It seems everybody else knows but you guys. So let's just keep it that way till next time. It'll be a reason to go into Paul's.
Right on.
Figure out who the tribe is.
I just figured maybe you hated me or something. So
I hate no one, man. Put it this way. I haven't even blocked Illumitami, if that tells you anything.
right
But
on.
trust me, that's running thin these days because I just realized that Paul had him blocked. Now that Paul unblocked him, I'm thinking about it. Oh shit! Now I guess I got to block the guy.
I'll work on it for you, Tribe. I'll work on it.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, I'm out of here. Good seeing y'all. Good stream, Keith. We'll see y'all later.
Likewise.
Yeah, thanks for coming up, brother.
Keith, I'll go back into that I was talking about earlier. With my situation, because I wouldn't mind talking. Actually, you know what? Hit me up sometime on Facebook. I sent you a message, so I wouldn't mind a little bit of information. And not for nothing, I'm open for education always, and this is an awesome place to find it. So. I share your links. I hope people understand that, as much as they want to judge a book by the cover, if they want to think, good, bad, or indifferent about your approach to the way you disseminate or, give out information, they're all jewels. I mean, you're just, and I love the repetitive sometimes, because drilling in that Jeremiah, that's so important. God knew us. I mean, you can't fuck with that. Don't tell me that you had anything to do with all your trickery, sorcery, and witchcraft. Fuck off. But hey, I love you, brother. Peace, tribe. Have a good evening. And you guys take care. Great stream.
Yep. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, great stream, great themes and topics, Wizard. I was pretty busy all day today, so I came in. I was kind of happy to see you're still on there. I know I came late, but it was better late than never. I just want to ask you something though, because I know you're the ultimate authority when it comes to scriptures and such. And I had an interesting challenge put forth to me, and I was starting to think about it, and I'm sure that you could articulate even better than I could. But you frequently quote that Matthew verse about the I stand between father and son and mother and daughter, etc., etc. You know what verse I'm talking about?
Not
cover
really.
the sword in my tongue, and whatever. It's
you're talking about Isaiah 54. the barren mother and protecting the mothers and children as men, letting no tongue prosper against us?
No. The one with it's Jesus saying that he's not here to bring peace, but to bring war upon the families. Could you reinterpret that verse for me, if you could? You know which one I'm talking about.
The controversy. He's here to bring war on the family, or war in the family, because the family has been deceived. And this is the thing about the Jacob's ladder, is you have to realize he speaks in parables, and when he says ye are gods, he's talking about the fact that, again, where he says ye shall do greater things than I. And that's because we're using in this modern time the term God, where in fact it means the source of life, the creator. You are the source of life. And if you don't realize that, you living in this world as dead beings, I'm going to wage war on you. He's a respecter of no persons. Quit using the person. That's the war. The UCC in modern times is known, and this is just this is modern. This is not even 72 years old yet. The UCC was introduced or initiated in 1951, where the states were allowed to start adopting it. It was already in use in form prior to that as an experiment, as a conversion of equity and common law. Now we have the UCC, which is commercial law, and its negotiable instruments are legal tender. So he's telling you to come out of her and start making peace. It's a war. The UCC in modern times is known as the Battle of the Forms. So what form are you going to perpetuate? The manual form or the spiritual form?
Ultimately, what they've done in those codes, they've taken that, like you said, the equity and the common law, and they've just taken literally the spirit of those laws and then injected their own letter to it. So it's no longer the letter, but it's an assumed principle that was based on a history. So in a way, they've kind of like taken a superficial spiritual element of the law and then reapplied a new letter to it. And then applied their codes and everything else to that letter. And that's what I find it is. And it's kind of abhorrent in a way, because if it was truly a policy or a code, it would be strictly related to those that are engaged in those activities. But they try to take a broader sense as if that their code has some factual or valid basis in law or in natural law in any form.
Right. They did the same thing with the covenant of the sacred marriage. That's the spiritual covenant, and they turn it into a manual covenant known as a contract. And again, I remind people, if there really is a separation of church and state, then why is it the state that's requiring a marriage and not the church?
The registration of marriage, it has to have first a religious marriage or a marriage by deed of some sort. So I guess they say a judge could do it as like a common law marriage, right? But the state itself can't marry anyone.
Right. And the deed itself is just like when a man transfers land, he picks up a handful of dirt and gives it to the other man. So the deed is the act, and that is the kiss, the matrimonial kiss. Not the ring, not the placement of the ring. That covenant, the ring of the covenant is already done in the words. You don't need the material existence.
Right.
The act is the important. Actions speak louder than words. And when you put that ring on there, you're symbolizing the reference of a material world rather than the spiritual world. That's a material covenant, not a spiritual covenant.
Yeah. I mean, I won't make judgments a lot. I know a lot of times they could be heirlooms handed down, and it symbolizes more in a personal way than it does in a general way. So I don't really take that away from it. But what you said is true. If it's not done in the spirit, it's not done in the deed at all. And the last thing I just want to relate to is that verse, and actually to cults, real cults that will use that verse as a reason to split families and inject a cult, right? And I say that is a way of distinguishing things that are accused of being cults, which is again the inversion of truth. A lot of organizations such and such that that claim others are cults are indeed cults themselves. And a lot of times that it seems that there's a resonance of people in a true community, and that could be seen from the outside as exhibiting the form of a cult when it's not. So that being said, a true cult disguised as organizations interjecting into the family saying, well, look at this Bible verse. See, we're following the Bible, not them. So how would you rebut that in the most deep way that you could? Because I can think how I can. I just want to hear how you can, because I'm sure it's better.
I can't remember the verse you referenced, Matthew.
Take your time if you need to look at it again.
Where two or more are gathered in my name, therefore I am. And cult in its original meaning is a verb, meaning to gather, to come together. So if you want to portray that I'm a cult, yeah, let's come together, brother.
Well, if I'm answering to let's say it's a de facto cult, right? It's going to misuse that verse.
Law is specific, language is specific, so get specific with the language.
Let's say a cult like
let them know that as that cult, that gathering, that verb has an intent. Is it manual or spiritual?
Well, their claims, of course, of a cult will be it's spiritual, right? So we got to get more sharp.
No, that's the original meaning of cult, is a gathering. The intent is totally different, and that's what they've done with this term cult. Everybody says that the intent is bad. No. Again, that what they've done is they changed the connotation of the original term. Cult means gathering. They've turned it into a gathering with ill intent, just like church also meant similarly the same thing, gathering. Okay, cult meaning homage. In other words, returning back to where you once were gathered and then dispersed. So it's more of a regathering, kind of like religion, almost. You see what they're doing there? Okay, so with church, again, it was a verb to mean gathering, and now they've converted it not as a verb, but as a noun. Everybody uses it as a noun. Same with cult. They're using it as a noun.
Okay, so let's just say, no, I'm not referring to cults like the guys who wear their collars backwards and such, but the nefarious cults, the really bad ones. You know what I'm talking about. The ones with really bad intent, charismatic leaders. Huh?
The ones convincing you got to drink the Kool-Aid.
Well, yeah, they're out for material and power and such. I mean, I can rat them off, and I don't want to, but you know what I'm talking about, right? They have names. None of them call themselves cults, but they are. By the nefarious cults, I should be more clear, right? Not just cults in general, but nefarious cults, with malintent that's not focused on the spiritual, but on the worldly. And they hide it. They disguise it, of course, the inversion of truth. And then they'll try to infiltrate, right? By claiming the spiritual thing, by, again, just like the code, using the, misinterpreting and writing their own letter based on a spiritual teaching, right? And then misinterpret it with a wrong letter that serves the purpose of their cult, their nefarious cult. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
when they rewrite
system.
So without being considered an apostate, what would you rebut that with? Standing as a man of a family standing together, not divided, as opposed to a cult wanting the family divided based on the fact that that I'm here to split father against son, mother against daughter, to bring not peace, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I see something like that, and again, it goes back to that inherent right to exist, as well as the duty to procreate. We're not here for nothing. We're not here just for ourselves so that once we die, there's nothing else. We're here to pass on what we learn. And the only way we can do that is by procreating and making somebody else to pass it on to. So it's not just the procreation, but the passing on of the knowledge. Again, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. That's telling us our purpose here is to be knowledgeable. And if we're not going to take upon the knowledge, then fuck you. It's the same thing with the police. If you're not going to take upon the knowledge, then fuck you.
Right, but see, you're an apostate because our cult has the knowledge. See, you've been lied to. That's not true knowledge. Our cult has the knowledge, and our great leader knows this. And see, all these people agreeing. Don't you want to be part of the cult?
Yep.
We'll continue. We're role playing.
No, I'm getting late here. I've got to.
Okay, Wizard. Hey, but listen,
I'd love to. And that is a forum I might eventually even open up here is a role-playing platform, because I think that's imperative. That's what they do in their colleges for legal degrees and stuff. They actually go through role-playing. And again, I'm telling you, that's where a lot of your actors come from or end up. Ronald Reagan became a politician. He was an actor first. They're going through an act of playing things out.
Listen, Wizard, let me say something, and I'll end on this. Is that there's an element to play, whether it's in animals and even people, is that it's a learning. This is how we learn more advanced things without, taking the risk of actually taking these activities to discover which ones are really going to be productive and fruitful and which ones might just be, to our death. But play allows us to explore these and even go beyond what's real or possible or even probable, so that we can, the miracles can happen. You can see it, done through the Greeks. You can see it done through plays. You can see it done through mock court. You see it done through a lot of focus groups. There's a lot of different elements where you could give them different labels, but they're all the exact same thing of role playing, but in a functional way, one to bring about a result of learning and wisdom and exploration of beyond what we can, actually engage in our regular lives or the time frame we're here. So yeah, I'm very much for it. I know you're a very creative person too, so I think this would be a perfect extension of what we've been doing in the other platforms, especially the Proper Instruction Motivates People channel, because this is I don't see a replication of what's being done there, especially when Paul does 12 hours a day. What more could we possibly do or endure?
And I agree, like when you said that role-playing thing, that's kind of what we're doing with Paul's platform. The problem is that there's not a script. Everybody's going ad lib. So when we provide a script where we can do some role-playing, actually what's happening is we're ad libbing and the comments become the script, because we're able to take those inventions, fabrications, and fictions and subscribe to them in a certain order so that we can portray a message to everybody else that they can comprehend. It's the same thing as a movie script. You're putting it in order so that people will comprehend it. That's all it is.
Yeah, well, it's like we're, Paul introduced the concept is what I see. And it's in a way that this is something that we should be doing outside of his platform once he's done with that simulation.
Yeah,
but
and that's what he's trying to get people to do, is take action. Remember that.
Well, what you said is key. What you said is key is having more of a script, because really it's left to the people that are willing to improv. And a few of us are, and I'm, it's a struggle for me, but I enjoy doing it. And I'm willing to do it and take that extra struggle. And you too, I see, and everyone has gone into it. It's just we're willing to play is really what it comes down to, and participate. And from that, I think the real lesson is that we can take this into levels, like you said, with a script that everybody can be invited to. We could have actual themes and topics that are focused on for each of these episodes of playing and role playing and simulation. But the biggest part is that we're going to learn things and discover things that we wouldn't even have known before we started, is the best part, the experimental part of it all. And it's safe and fun. So what's there to lose?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing about coming together and joining in this. When we go out there and we try to follow that script, that's our problem. We have to learn how to be ad lib. We have to be able to, off the top of our head, already have it without having to sit there and listen to somebody else and investigate what they're saying. It's like the other night or last night or the night before on, I think it was Drew's channel. I was talking to Toilet Bowl Earth and this other guy, and he was talking about the scriptures, and I brought up the fact that the scriptures say that Jesus was hung on a tree. Well, of course, that's the part that in the comments that they pick and choose which ones they want to use to make a script. While the scripture tells you have different options to create your own script, is the basic sense of it. It's not like I called it a contradiction, and he helped me comprehend it in a different way. Like I said, it's just a different script. Everybody picks and chooses the scriptures that they use because they're tired of ad libbing, so they want something to help other people correlate. And that's exactly what I do. I only use the scripture to help correlate things. I don't believe in the scriptures. I don't believe in Jesus. I believe in the way, and I believe that he was a real man, and that it takes me to comprehend what the message is so that I can portray the same thing. And the only way that happens, it doesn't happen by script. It happens by your actions. No other way. You can talk like you're Jesus and to convince people that you're Jesus all you want. But until you start walking around committing to those miracles and making them happen, the actions will never come out. And nobody will believe you. That's why people don't believe me. They don't ever see the actions. You know, they believe I know how to build a bike, but they don't see the actions of my private messages. So they're never going to get that. Again, I can explain it to you, but I can't comprehend it for you. And I'm certainly not going to show you my private information.
Well, I mean, I thought people knew the cross was inserted by pagans, but I guess they don't know that part.
Well, interestingly enough, the true pagans are the ones that have the cross. It's called a T-ledger. Right. That's what I'm saying. It's a pagan. And it's at the top. And if you turn everything upside down and backwards, then you have something that's a cross at the bottom. So it's something that I pay attention to. And I realize that those pagans that use that upside down cross, when you look at that message, they're telling you, it's kind of like Wes Watson and Paul. They're giving you the same process, but the intent is different. So think about that.
Yeah. It's I kind of liken to an opera, and I'm no fan of opera, but the good thing about opera and why it's still a form that we still see today, and it's pretty old, is that it would communicate the same message, the same theme through so many different channels. It would be done dramatically. It'd be done through the scenery. It'd be done through the music. It'd be done through the words. It'd be done through the whole play. So whether you're a musical person or a visual person or a literal person, you're going to get the message because it's redundantly broadcast through multiple channels within that performance. And it's a time-tested way of getting a message through, is multiple channels of the same message being delivered. And so I think this is it. Again, this is a good broadcast. Thanks for staying up so late. Like I said, I was late coming on, but I appreciate it. There's a few things I wanted to say, and I got a chance to say it. So I'm thankful for that and appreciate what you're doing here. And I think these kinds of reviews, and then even further, some of the role-playing thing, I think we should definitely do. I'd like to do some high-caliber role-playing too, like USC versus common law, and just try to see how we could whittle away from one side to the other, just try to grill each other on one side, or, and then switch sides, and just to find out, let people see where the weaknesses exist on the other side and where your strengths exist, and also what threats you have to watch out for.
See, that's what I'll use the scripture and I'll correlate it through each one of their jurisdiction. I don't care if you're using CFR, USC, UCC, international. I don't care if you're using the law of nations, Treaty of Berne, Treaty of Peace and Friendship. I'm going to correlate it with the scripture everywhere up and down. And that's what everyone is going to have a problem with. Because everyone, like I said, when we did that review of Frank versus God, everyone around this world, through one religion or another, believes in the exact same concept, which is the intent of doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. Period.
Right. Well, the good thing about role playing is that, again, we could switch sides. You could be on the prosecutor side trying to impose a USC on someone else, and someone else could be defending it. And for all you know, it's just another way to defend it. Besides, there could be the Bible, the admiralty, the common law. There could be a lot of ways to get around it. Jurisdictionary. There's a lot of different ways you can think about it. But the more ways we know, I think the better. And again, it's a safe place to practice it. I'd rather do it here than out on the street.
But again, remember, each and every one of those fucking courts is going to have a 1611 King James Version of the Bible, no matter what jurisdiction they're practicing, with the exception of a family court.
Right. But here's what I'm getting at is I'd like people to have more in their repertoire than just one way, because inevitably you run these bad judges that just say no, and then you have to take it on appeal, and then you still lose because now you've wasted too much money and time. So as long as you have a way to, if they say, okay, we're not taking that. Okay, well, how about this? And they say, we're not taking that either. Well, then how about this? Sooner or later, you're going to get through on them. And I'd rather people have a good repertoire so we can start at the principled level. Once they say, oh, it's hogwash. Okay, then how about this? Is it's telling you this is hogwash. And if it really comes down to it, we'll rip apart their code jurisdiction according to their terms.
Well, yeah, legal tender again is negotiable instruments. What's a plea deal sound like it?
No, never. Appeal is a dangerous thing too, because an appellate court could just decide not to hear your case, and there's no recourse after that. So it's always best to take care of it within the whatever jurisdiction you're in, or if you finally say I'm here for this to hear this, you need to be able to see it through fully in many ways through that, because even if it's not, you'd want a retrial or a quo warranto or a writ of error or something. You'd have to have some other remedy before an appeal, because what I've learned, and I've learned this from practice, that appeals almost never win. Very rarely are you going to win something on the appeal like that, because they don't want to do it. They really don't.
The only ones I know of that won an appeal is the ones that went on constitutional violations.
You know what? Even still, but what I've learned is, and I'll leave it on this because I know we're going too far. But one thing I have learned is that your best course of action with this stuff these days, with all the corrupt judges and such, is if you're ever violated, or if they ever do something, that's wrong in the law, that your best course of action is to file your federal suit under a due process violation.
Yes, like I said. One intent versus another. That one deserves one process, whether it's one deserves a process based on the intent. Now it can be looking like the same process, but it's the intent that converts everything. This is called simulation of legal process.
Right, and that's the thing, is that they can get away with it if it doesn't make it to appeal. So by offering it up for appeal, if it doesn't get accepted, then it gets thrown back to that lower court. So what I see is probably better than taking a case on appeal if for whatever reason you didn't get the ruling that seemed lawful. Instead of that, if that happened, you're going to find a due process violation somewhere along the way.
Well, the due process violation is notice. Again,
so many. There's just so many ways. I don't want to get into details. I'm just saying principally, you could go by a due process violation and take it right to the federal level. Don't even go to appeal, because the appeal is going to be at a lower court than the federal. So they could still throw it back to the low court. The federals won't. And the feds might actually be pretty pissed that they get these shitty ass judges in there that can't run their own show.
Right. And the United States, the Supreme Court of the United States is the upper administrative court. So again, I said earlier in the review, why would you start at the bottom? I keep telling everybody go to the top. Why would you get to the state courts when you have available venue, original jurisdiction at the federal level?
Yeah, and let's face it, the Supreme Court really rules on constitutional matters anyway. So if it ever had to go all the way, the only thing that would be something like your due process violation, because the subject matter of any individual case on appeal rarely has something substantial in a constitutional context to make it to the Supreme Court. But due process can and will if it's necessary, but it won't, because at that point, I think it's could do what they want. They face embarrassment. Exactly. But if you take them, if they do this, and if you take it directly as a due process violation of federal court as your course of action, right, as remedy, right, instead of an appeal, I think that it might be a better, and I don't know, this is part of our role-playing thing we should probably explore here.
Well, and look at the comment down below, and they're absolutely right. This is constitutional, and this is why we claim constitutional violations and not state statute violations or anything like that. We don't claim 1983 except for the violations of the Constitution. The people are supposed to redress grievances with Congress. You're supposed to have a communication with Congress. Congress lays and collects its tax, duties, and imposts. Taxes, duties, and imposts. And if they're doing that at the local municipal level, that's the failure of due process right there. There is no communication with Congress.
But we have a de facto government, so therefore de facto Congress. I mean, everything's de facto.
But also remember, their communication, the term communication means conveying the information about a debt. If I'm not the debtor, then I shouldn't be involved in the communications. If the location of the debtor is UCC 9-307, location of debtor, United States is located in Washington, D.C., then why are you communicating with me in not the United States pursuant to 22 CFR 93.1, diplomatic channels of communication?
But then, now let me ask you this, and then I was going to say, if you turn off the stream and can still talk, if you feel like it, I wouldn't mind talking to you for 5 minutes. But that's not talking to you about doing that. But let me ask you something, because everybody's talking about fiat currency and saying, "Oh, well, we can't use it. You got to stay away from it. This, that, and the other." But ultimately, as soon as you take the dollar bill and you walk to the store, you're guilty of usury. So they're going to say you're in the system, and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, you're back to contracting.
Fiat is mistaken. Everybody thinks that fiat currency means military currency. It does not. Fiat means authoritative sanction. So again, legal tender is negotiable instruments, and you either place your authority on the table or you don't.
Well, yeah, you have debt instruments and you have credit. I mean, every fiat or Federal Reserve note fiat is a debt instrument, and gold and silver are considered credit, and land, certain things like that can be converted too. But
every time you create a debt, you create credit. Every time you create credit, you create a debt. Now, who's the creator?
Yeah, but you can't create credits from debt. That doesn't work like that.
Right. No, I create the debt by asking somebody else to give me credits.
Why
don't I ask him for credit?
You'd have to get the credit first before you could create the debt.
Right. And merit is spiritual credit.
Or security of some sort.
Why is nobody putting the spiritual credit on the table in
no one's asking
consideration so that there's no debt? You see the problem? In their system, you create a debt, you also create a debit. If you or a credit. If you create a credit, you also create a debt.
Well, in their system, perhaps, but I mean, in our own private system, we manage our own credit and debts. Now, if you want to subscribe to the private international banking system, then that's how they function, which is abhorrent. But
in private communicate or private messages, we give each other credit in equal consideration in good faith. Because if I don't have that dozen eggs right now, I still need the two loaves of bread. But we have good faith that when that chicken lays them 2 fucking eggs, you're going to get your 2 fucking eggs or 2 dozen eggs. I want your faith, not credit and debt. It's credence. You have credence because of your good faith.
So I don't want to keep any longer, but one interesting thing I did find out is that you can do when you're working in the private and you want to do a trade, not commerce, but cross state lines doing such, that you can actually do it using the U.S. Post Office.
Yes.
You can send whether it be credits, debts, checks, bills, etc. When you go across state lines and you're working in the private, then they kind of try to say, oh, you're doing commerce, right? But if you use the post office for the transfers, right, that it's still considered in the private because they're not allowed to see what's inside the post office. Stuff is protected. So as bad as a post office might be in so many different ways, it just probably digs at them that has that constitutional function of privacy that they can't seem to get around.
Yep.
So on that note, Postmaster Wizard.
Yep. Well, like I said, you get that, you establish that trust with the post office, and you're the grantor, they're the trustee, and everybody else only gets to benefit if it's done in good faith, equal consideration, and no debt. So with that, I want to thank everybody. God bless you all. I appreciate it. I really do. Didn't realize it was going to last this long, but I'm glad those that hang. hung with us, and I certainly appreciate it. Like I said earlier, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, share, and if you hit that PayPal button, I'd certainly appreciate it. In the meantime, we're out, and I'll see you next time. Remember, I love you, and I don't give a fuck whether you love me back or not. That's up to you. Good night, everybody.
Night, Wizard. Thank you.
Thank you.